Yeah, I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat. Yo, grew my hair and took the grill out. Think it's time to put it back in. Trying to get into that big house, turn the crib into the mansion. Needed something with that big bounce. You know I had to hit Jackson. Aaron Rodgers with the quick routes. I'm with the gang, we packing. We on the field at Lambo. Might peel in a Lambo. Running drills in my camo. They know what the M stand for. Still got fam in Hawaii, yeah. Couple fans in the lobby, yeah. Couple grand in my pocket, yeah. Couple grams of wasabi, yeah. Eye it up, no glasses. Light it up, no matches. Wife it up, no ratchets. Might turn my wife to an actress. And we gon' make a movie, no Kim K. Give a fuck about what your friends say. I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
I'm just sticking to the code, I keep it so G. She asked me what I smoke, I'm smoking OG. I don't fool with too many, only catch me 4 deep. Gotta stay away from snakes, swear these people so creep. I've been grinding for a minute, many labels so sleep. These rappers drop a song, be hot for about a week. I put Gucci on my toes, I keep some cold feet. I ain't paying for no hoe, you niggas know me. I'm about to body the beat, I keep me a hottie with me. She wanna for a fee, give me that for free. Keep me some money on me, smoking the gas key. You with me, sheesh, but need cheap keep.
I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
Yeah, head up in the clouds, though they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test, now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, I can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't nobody's enemy. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working, I'm up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in mine, yeah.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On the road, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It looks like the microphone heard us talking trash about it yesterday. Somebody was complaining that when I look away, you guys can't hear me, and now the mic's messing with us. But guys, welcome back to another live stream. Somebody send help. Bitcoin's going to zero. And what I was saying here when you guys couldn't hear me was, I've been trying to come up here every day and kind of talk about what we see on the charts without coming off as a complete and total senseless bear. But I'm going to talk about some more bearish signs. Drop a green check mark in the chat if you guys can hear me. I think you guys can hear me now. But I'm going to take a look at some of the higher time frames here, guys. We'll cover the local levels. We'll take a look at some of the altcoins as well. But I'm going to take a look at some more bearish signs that we have popping up on the chart here, guys. Are we going to see these lower prices looking at about $92,000 to our next major level of support? We have some other levels underneath us before that we will be looking at for scalp longs, but the next biggest level, guys, is sitting down towards about $92,000 to $91,000. Are we on our way down there? Well, we've been looking at that as a target for quite some time as we've gotten a break of some really, really key support. So we'll take a look at everything. We'll look at the money flow. We'll look at market cipher B. We'll take a look at the key levels, and I'll give you guys the bearish case and, maybe a little bit of the bullish case. But I'm going to let you guys know which way I'm leaning, just simply based off the charts. No, senseless hopium here, no senseless bearishness. It is just going to be what we see here on the charts, which has been playing out pretty well, as we have seen the continuation to the downside. So shout out to the CandleMafia. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you. Shout out to Mickey, said loud and clear. It's great. Shout out to Mickey. Thank you for that, brother. We got the green check marks in the chat. You guys can now hear me. I'm no longer muted. But yeah, guys, let's see. We got Al Jr. in the chat, said that hat color combination looks sick, and I need the emblem for my guitar. Hey, shout out to Al Jr. Maybe we should just start selling the patches. We actually assemble these guys in-house. We order the leather patches, and we assemble them and heat press them in-house. Or actually, Tony D and Tyler Durden usually take care of that. But, yeah, shout out to Darren Does Things in the chat. What is going on? We got Jesse, Tyler Durden, Dave Digital in the chat. What is going on? We got J-Squad flexing that check mark in the chat. What is going on? Guys, don't forget to smash that like button if you appreciate these free updates, key levels, and directional biases every single weekday right here. Smash that like button, guys. This channel is sponsored by you guys smashing the like button and subscribing to the channel. But yeah, we got Cryptito in chat says it's over. I sold everything buy Bitcoin 3 weeks ago or but Bitcoin 3 weeks ago. Shout out to Cryptito. Welcome in. We got Cape Crypto in the chat. Said, what's up, Frankie? How are you not at 100K subs yet? Love the channel. Shout out to Cape Crypto. I appreciate that, brother. We're on our way. We're on our way to 100K. We're going to do something pretty crazy for 100K. We're going to give away some good stuff at 100K. But we got the Emperor in the chat. Said, awesome sauce. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully I'm still loud and clear here. But without further ado, Bitcoin getting a little bit of a bounce off the lows here. But let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Is the bounce going to continue, or are we going lower? Well, let's figure it out right now. Let's jump into it. All right, guys, so here we are with Bitcoin getting another drop to the downside here. Now, if you guys watch the channel, you will know that my bias here has been bearish for quite some time for many different reasons here. It is not just the money flow. It is not just the loss of the key levels. It's a bunch of things all combined, whether it's the cycle timing, market cipher B confirmations, and obviously the money flow as well. But of course, you know, zooming out here, I'm going to start on the higher time frames today, and then we will zoom into the lower time frames. But when we take a higher time frame viewpoint here, guys, now obviously, let me pull up our bigger range here. We lost our upper value area here quite a while ago. We got the big drop to the downside. We got a little bit of a retracement to the upside, and then we have now gotten another drop down. Now, this is obviously not the most bullish sign, guys, because as we get accepted into this bigger macro value area, you know I've been talking about that POC of this range sitting at about $97,000 to $96,633. We came very, very close to that today. And we've been looking at this as a target ever since we got accepted below this value area high. And I know a lot of people are like, man, this guy's crazy. Why is he looking so low? But the powers of the volume profile do seem to be playing out here, giving us that magnetic pull towards this point of control, which, by the way, is the next significant support level underneath us. Now, of course, as we've been looking at recently, this POC does not have a lot of confluence, and the actual bigger level does sit down here closer to, call it 94 to about $91,500. Can you say that? $91,500, $91,500. But if I go ahead and mark this off with a blue box here, this is kind of the next place where we have significant confluence. We have the value area low, golden pocket retracement. We also have two daily naked points of controls up in there. You can barely see them pop up because they are so close to that golden pocket. But you know, this is what we're looking for, guys. You know, at the end of the day, right, we have high time frame money flow coming out as we've been looking at for quite some time. Lower highs and lower lows to continue here. We are continuing to see that play out with our continuation of that downtrend, all based and signaled by money flow. I know people hate when money flow is coming out, but of course, I hate it too, because we do not want price to go down either. I want price to go up. But as we discussed yesterday, you know, we have a very, very long road ahead. I'm not even really going to talk about, you know, the possibility of coming into all-time highs because we are very far off of that. We have many key levels to get above, but you know, more than covering the new all-time highs, I will be covering the local lower levels, as well as some of the local TA here and some of the local levels of resistance that we're looking to get above. But at the end of the day, guys, you know, as POC is still sitting down here, it does have magnetic nature to it, and it is coming in at $96,633. But underneath that, really, the eventual higher time frame target would be sitting down here between 94 and 91,500, where we have the bigger area of confluence. And this is not really a big update, but just kind of showing everybody, you know, the volume profiles will, very likely guide you in the right direction when it comes to trading or just price action in general, especially when it's combined with our money flow. Now, coming up here to the 2-day time frame, guys, I have some new things I want to bring up here. Not necessarily new as in they weren't on the chart before, but some things that I'm taking a look at here, guys. Let's just start here on the top-down analysis. We'll start on the weekly. Now, of course, I think everybody knows all of the bearish divergences that we have printing here, all very similar to what we saw happen back here in 2021. And, of course, I will try to go over the bullish case here, guys, just briefly after we cover the bearish case. But there's a lot more bearish signs on the chart. It really does not look good, in my opinion, as it really hasn't looked good for a while, right? But now, as we get deeper into this profile, you know, it just gets worse and worse every day. Now, obviously, we do have all the confirmed massive bearish divergences up here on the higher time frames. You can see see this here on the weekly time frame. Higher highs, lower highs. We have it on the 2-week, higher highs, lower highs, right? We also have it on the monthly. There's that bearish divergence, obviously confirmed in all of its glory, or I don't know if you would call it glory, but lower highs, higher highs, right? These are all signals that we had at the top of the previous bear market. And even looking at the 2-month time frame here, guys, I will just kind of point out now, this is not something that I just look at and say, well, hey, we have a 2-month red dot, the top is in. But if we look back here in history, guys, once that 2-month red dot prints, it does mark the fact that the top was in on Bitcoin. It happened here back in 2017. You see that 2-month red dot prints, and it was basically bear market from there. Now, when did that 2-month print or 2-month red dot print? It printed pretty much right as we were losing that 50-week moving average, which of course we are continuously testing here. We closed our weekly candle above it last week, but now we're back down below it. Not really a good sign. We're losing 100K. We're losing the 50-week moving average. So just at face value, not a great sign. And of course, that 2-month red dot, top is in. You lose the 50-week and eventually go into the bear market. Back up here in 2021 on that first top. You guys know I am in the camp that this was actually the all-time high in 2021, meaning that first top that we put in. This is where we saw all the retail interest, and then kind of retail interest dissipated as price came up to sweep the highs once again. But that 2-month red dot, you could say the top was in here. Of course, we did put a new numerical all-time high in, very slightly, just a tick above that before going into the bear market. And again, losing that 50-week moving average. And you guys can see here, 2-month red dot obviously been confirmed here for a little while. And it's just another sign here. Now, on top of that, guys, if I pull up Market Cipher B, now I don't always look at Market Cipher B very close. Market Cipher A. I don't always look at Market Cipher A super closely, but when we come to these very, 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 very important times in the chart, right, or important times in the cycle, right, timing-wise, we're coming towards what we would think is the end of the 4-year cycle, and even regardless of that, guys, I want to try to take a look at the charts without thinking of bear market, bull market, alt season, no alt season. I just want to take a look at this at face value, right? Because even if, right, the only reason we're talking about the top potentially being in is because of where we are in the cycle, right? But this does not change it, right? Let's just say the top is not in on Bitcoin, just assuming, right? The chart still looks bearish, right? And I just want to say that, right? This is not just me, we're at the end of the 4-year cycle. This is the top. There's a lot of things. All those bearish confirmations I just brought up, we're starting to lose that 50-week moving average once again. And if we come over here to the 6-day, guys, obviously the weekly closes below the 50-week moving average are really what we look for to indicate that, we're probably entering into a bear market. But if we take a look at the 6-day, right, obviously our weekly candle did close above last week. You got the wick above, the candle closure, or a wick below, candle closure above, but now we're back below it, right? So, of course, this weekend, the same thing as last weekend, right? We really want to get above that 50-week and close back above it. If we don't, we'll have our first weekly candle closure below our 50-week moving average this cycle, right? We have not had any closes this cycle, and, of course, every time this happens, it is a pretty good indicator that we are about to see some massive downside. This is very important, guys, and, of course, I'm only going to say this one more time. I'm not saying this because I want price to go down. This is just what the charts are saying. But if we start looking at the 6-day, right, and this is just coming up, coming down one time frame here from the weekly, you can see even the 6-day candle closures below the 50-week moving average, here we held it by the skin of our teeth, and then we wound up getting back above. But once we close that 6-day candle below the 50-week moving average, of course, we did get a pop back to the upside, but at the end of the day, we did end up losing that. And of course, if we look at our 6-day right now, we did technically close below that level. So these are a lot of warning signs, right? And then looking at Market Cipher A, another thing that I cannot unsee, guys, is the fact that every time we come down on the 2-day to play around with this 50-week moving average, it is accompanied by these yellow X's on Market Cipher A, which are typically very bearish signs. It indicates bearish manipulation to the downside. I think it can work in both directions. I look at them as bearish signals. I have never really seen, here you can see we had a yellow X, another drop down, then we got to push up. 2 yellow X's down here could mark a bottom. But for the most part, obviously when you're coming off a high, they are bearish signals. And once you get below that 50-week moving average, you start printing these yellow X's. It is not a very good sign. 2-day yellow X's are, just bearish in general. And as you can see here, as we are starting to lose that 50-week moving average, that yellow X is popping up on the 2-day. Now, of course, I'm not just looking at this as a signal alone. The only reason I bring this up is because it is in line with a lot of the other bearish signs that we're seeing on the charts right now, right? So we have the bearish divergences, all the technical indications. We now have the yellow X printing on the 2-day. And even if we come up to some of these higher time frames, right, Let's see if we have any other similarities here. 5-day red dot printing. Now, of course, you can point back to this blood diamond. You could point back to this blood diamond and say, well, hey, these, did give you downside, but it wasn't that drastic, right? Like here we got the blood diamond got a push down, blood diamond got the push down. But when you look at it from a timing perspective, right, like some of those other high time frame market cipher A bearish confirmations that we see, let me just hide some of these folders so I can just clean this up. I don't want to see all these lines. Let's hide this, right? You get below that 50-week moving average, you start to see these 2-day blood diamonds. We're seeing a lot of these bearish signs start to pop up. And of course, over here, it's a little bit different. Of course, it's a bearish sign, but we have a lot of time left in the cycle. But as we are hitting this very close to what you would expect to be the end of the 4-year cycle, it's a lot of similarities here, guys. And I'm not here to spread fear. I'm not here to say the top is guaranteed in on Bitcoin. I'm just here to present you guys with the information on the charts. And there is a whole lot of bearish stuff. Now, even when we take a look at our high time frame money flow, this has been very choppy recently, but this is something we've had to keep a very, very close eye on because, of course, we've had our 2-day money flow crossover into the red, which is a big reason why I've remained in my bearish bias looking for lower highs and lower lows for the overall continuation of this big downtrend. And now, as we come up to some of these higher time frames, guys, 3-day continuing to drop to the downside, 4-day starting to leak out here. Your 5-day money flow is crossing over into the red. Your 6-day money flow, this is just one time frame off of the weekly. And we all know that that weekly money flow crossover into the red has has indicated the bear market incoming every single time with almost zero exception, right? Money flow crosses over into the red on the weekly, massive bear market. Money flow crosses over into the red on the weekly, massive bear market. This happens every time, right? Even here, you had a kind of wiggled sideways, slightly down a little bit. Money flow crosses over on the weekly, and you continue down into the bear market. And we are starting to see, this 6-day money flow is starting to get me, weekly money flow, coming out. You're still deep in the green here, but it is trending out locally. This is not as alarming to me as the 6-day, because if that 6-day is coming out and is going to cross over into the red, this is very likely going to leak up into that weekly time frame, which is not what we want to see. And when we come back to 2021, you can see here, it's like almost the exact same situation, right? You can see here, we wicked below the 50-week moving average. We got back above. We started playing around with it. This is very similar to where we are right now. And look at that 6-day money flow. It was coming out, looking to cross over into the red. We wound up getting it, call it a couple weeks later, a few weeks later, we wound up getting that crossover. And here we are again, playing with that 50-week moving average, with that money flow, almost at the exact same level. We're at an 8 right now, and back here, it was also at an 11, right? You can even, almost an 8, right? So very, very, very similar. So it's not just the money flow. It's, you're losing the 50-week moving average. You have the money flow coming out now on the higher time frames. Of course, we saw this, early indication here on the 2-day. Now, I'm not saying that you have to come down in a straight line from here. Of course, we could see retracements. And of course, I will cover the bullish case very briefly here, guys, if you're looking for new all-time highs. This is not what the charts are pointing towards, right? And I have a responsibility to come up here and just give you guys the information. I can't put my emotional biases in, right? I want price to go up too, but just this 2-day money flow, whether this indicates the bear market or not, right? Like, this is bearish. You would expect a continuation of the downtrend. This is why I've kept my sentiment here, looking for lower prices, taking a look at that POC target at $96,633, and then the value area low at $94,000 to $91,500. So, there are massive bearish signs here on the chart, and I just have to bring this up. You could take this information and make your own decisions. I'm not a financial advisor. I can't tell you when to buy, when to sell, but it's a lot of similarities here, guys, and hopefully just running through this and showing you what it's meant in the past can kind of give you guys a little bit of a clear view of why I'm taking this kind of stance, right? Now, does this mean that it's impossible to get a push to the upside? Not necessarily, right? At face value, right, you could say that the weekly candle closure, we did not get that yet, right? So we closed this weekly candle back above the 50-week moving average, which right now does sit at about $103,000. If we can close that weekly candle back above here over the weekend, that would be a better sign than not, but it doesn't take away all those other bearish signals, right? Or where we are on the timing of the cycle. So that's what I'm looking at on the higher time frames. Right now, of course, we do have some of these green dots maybe looking to print. Your 6-day VWAP is attempting to come back up. Your 5-day VWAP is attempting to come back up. But to be clear here, guys, green dots and red dots indicate the ebbs and flows in the market. The ebbs and the flows. The money flow is what indicates the overall trend. So when I see these red or green dots looking to print, but I see all the high time frame money flow coming out, guys, and to be honest, we have not really seen, right? I'm not even going to take these little fake outs into account because this was obviously a much different time in the market. We were still in the bear market looking to get a break above key support or key resistance for the bull market to begin, which obviously we have seen play out here, at least for Bitcoin. But for the most part, right, this 5-day money flow had been in the green forever. And then once it crosses out, right, if we look here, right, money flow crosses into the green. Obviously, you can kind of ignore this, Black Swan event that we had here, obviously. But big old money flow wave. And then at the end of the day, that first crossover was a pretty good indication that you were, if it's not going to mark the bear market, here it did, right? But even if it's not, right, it's definitely going to be a bearish sign for a continuation of a massive downtrend, right? And like, what do we have here? This 5-day money flow is crossing over. I can't not mention this, right? So it's not looking good, bruv. So, of course, again, I'll cover the bullish case in a second, or I'll try to kind of piece together a bullish case for you guys. Of course, just because we have this on the chart, we can see, unpredictable things happen. And we'll talk about, I'll talk very briefly about like what we need to see on for an alt season. And I covered this yesterday and covered it weeks back as well, even months back, talking about kind of what we would need to see for an alt season to come in. But it is, there's a lot of bear signs here, guys. I just got to be honest here on the chart. So, hopefully just looking at this, right? You don't have to take my word for it. Just look at the chart, right? This is why I like to bring the evidence. And this is not just like my random opinion. This is my opinion based off actual information. So, and of course, right, keeping that bearish bias has kept us on the right side here, looking for these moves to the downside. So, yeah, that's what we're looking at, guys. Now, biggest levels of support, obviously $94,000 to $91,500 near our macro value area high, or I'm sorry, macro value area low. And even if you extend this profile, guys, let me actually hide this. If I extend this profile, if I just grab a clean volume profile and I pull it to the current price action, it's like we can't start reclaiming some of these levels, guys. Like, seems very likely that we're going to come down to those zones, right? It's not like we have money flow pointing in the opposite direction, right? It's not just the volume profile, it's the money flow. It's like all these things combined. And I even have this all like marked off on our cycle chart, right? Like kind of just like listed all those bearish things that are popping up. It's looking very similar to 2021. Now, of course, maybe this time is different, very hard to predict. Maybe they start printing money out of nowhere. That causes a massive explosion to the upside. But that's very hopeful, right? Very, very hopeful. So there you go. There's the bearish case. Just wanted to bring this stuff up. Back below the 50-week moving average, unfortunately. But let's go down into some of these lower time frames and talk about what we can look at, in the medium term, right? So obviously, yesterday, are we on the right chart here? Yes. So let me pull up our local range. So obviously, we were playing around with this local range yesterday, where we came down to the value area low of the volume profile. We were looking for a bounce here. We did take that long position, looking to get above the POC and get some kind of retracement to the upside. But as you guys know, very explicitly saying I am not looking at this to be a massive bounce to the upside, kind of just saying like just because I am long does not mean that I think we're going to all-time highs. As a matter of fact, I will view this as a short-term position to eventually roll over for a lower high for lower lows to come in. And that is exactly what we ended up seeing. Where did that lower high come in at, guys? As always, pulling that local Fibonacci retracement from the high to the low. We retraced into the golden pocket. I think yesterday I even said, like, come on, push us into 103.5. Give it to us. Give it to us. And it did give us that little push up. And then eventually we did roll over and break the lows, right? Why were we looking for this? Of course, we had money flow come in the red on many different time frames. Of course, money flow keeping us on the right side of those trades. So, or at least not looking for this to continue up for a massive move, right? Doesn't mean you can't make some money on these pops to the upside, right? We even caught a little bit of a scalp long position down here in the premium Discord today, making a little bit of money. Even though my bias is bearish, we can still catch those scalp longs. But at this moment, right, we have now lost this range. So locally, in order for me to be looking for some kind of a bigger retracement to the upside, I would like to see a flip of this value area low, and I'll actually take these support levels off the chart because obviously they are now ran through. So we just have this volume profile sitting above with our value area low sitting at about $100,439, POC at 101,673, and then you have the value area high here at 104,614. So if we are able to get some kind of a move to the upside here, now I will say, The one thing I do not like about this is the fact that we don't really have any kind of significant bullish divergences, right? It's very similar to what we looked at back here. Took a little scalp long, but didn't look for that to continue because we did not have those bullish divergences. And then once we had these bull divs, looking at the 4 hour, once we had those bull divs, we were looking for at least some kind of a bigger push up. And then, of course, we had this short setup here from the tippy top in the premium Discord. Maybe I have see if I can pull this up, right? I get a lot of questions about the premium Discord and how we run this, right? Waiting for that level to come in. This is that $107,300 to $108,000 zone. Looking for that short setup to come in over the weekend. I was traveling with family, so I was not able to take this position, but we did come in. We saw the two exact confirmations that we were looking for, and of course, that was the top there, right? Coming into this major level of resistance, looking for the lower low to come in, and we've now seen that play out. And again, money flow coming out. Why were we expecting that? Why am I not getting excited on this pump to the upside? Not every pump is bullish, right? People will be like, oh my God, we're pumping, right? Like, doesn't necessarily mean bullish, right? If the money flow is coming out, you're going to look for lower highs and lower lows. And again, right, golden pocket, retracement, anchored VWAP, value area low. Golden pocket is the first place where you're looking for that lower high, and eventually you see that lower low. So in order to see any kind of sign of strength here, in my opinion, I'd like to get back above this value area low at about $100,439. Once we get back in there, maybe we can look for a local continuation up into some other key levels. Now, if I pull our Fibonacci retracements, very similar to yesterday, right? There's that golden pocket. There's the lower high. There's the lower low. I will simply be pulling our Fibonacci from the lower high to the lower low, and that gives us some interesting key levels of resistance. You have your anchored VWAP, golden pocket, POC sitting right here between about 102,653 and 101,637. So it's like you can kind of see here, right? Like if we get above this value area low, yeah, nice for a continuation up, but again, we have no bullish divergences down here. We didn't really come down to a major key level of support. The only thing we really did here was we did get a little bit of a let me pull this up on a higher time frame, right? We actually did get a little sweep of this wick here, right? We tapped into the wick, right? And now we're starting to get a little bit of a bounce to the upside. But again, you know, if we want to see a major move up here, we need to see the reclaim of that value area low. I would prefer to get above the POC 786 at 102.6, call it. And if we do that, right, as we talked about coming down to the point of control of this macro range, one of the things that we were looking for was going to be some high time frame bullish divergences. Now, of course, we can front run the POC. It's not impossible because if we do wind up printing a 12-hour green dot here, you could argue, depending on where this candle closes, you do have bullish divergences here, right? Momentum wave makes a higher low, price action making the lower low, not into a real key level of support like the POC, but you did get the SFP of that big wick down here. So if we get that 12-hour bull div, maybe you can get a bigger continuation up. But even then, guys, it's like, remember, if you get the bigger move up, maybe your 3-day is printing that green dot, right? Which is nice for a push up, but money flow is still calling for the continuation down. So my sentiment's going to remain exactly the same as it has here for the past probably 100 live streams, which is going to be looking for lower highs and lower lows to come, eventually targeting the POC and maybe even potentially the value area low. So it's not until for like big moves up. If you're looking for the bullish case to play out here, you want Bitcoin going to new all-time highs, guys, you got a ton of work, right? You got to get back above this local range. You got to push into your macro value area high coming in at about 108,243. You got to flip this to support and then all-time highs, right? Not necessarily, right? To pull up our bigger range here, you would just have massive resistance above that. Oh, but if we get above the 786, new all-time highs, right? Well, it starts to look a little bit better, but you still have the golden pocket and the macro 786 up there, which actually is going to have to move down slightly just because we had another drop there. Doesn't move the level too much, but you just have tons of resistance up here, guys. And again, off the back of these bearish divergences, off the back of the money flow coming out, like just from a simple standpoint, money flow comes out, we're looking for lower highs and lower lows. And if you take all the local levels off the chart, at the end of the day, you could potentially see that lower high come in all the way up here, right? For the continuation of that downtrend. So that's why I'm not really going to cover the bullish case too much today, because we're very far away from seeing any kind of like exciting move to the upside, in my opinion. But if you're looking for the key levels, biggest level right now, 108K, same as yesterday. Once you get above that, you can start attacking all these other levels. But again, you know, it's not really going to get me too excited until we break above those Fibonacci retracements. So there you go, right? Now looking hyper locally, let me go ahead and pull up our local range once more. This is really the range that I would be looking at in the medium term, right? Like, there's your deviation below the low. Your hope here is to get back above, flip the value area low to support. And of course, I do like to see bullish divergences before seeing a significant move to the upside, right? You can see right here, you get your lower lows on your price actions as you deviate below, but why would you be expecting a pushback into the value area high? Well, look at the bullish divergences, right? We just don't have that down here just yet. I guess you could argue, I mean, not really. This isn't really something I would look at. I would say you don't have those bull divs, right? So we'll see. Unless they wind up printing on the higher time frame and we just start scamming up, you can say, well, hey, we have the 12-hour bull div, but there's no real signal here to take the entry, right? Like I would need to see like a lower time frame bull div, like even like a 1-hour bull div down here would have been nice. So if we do push up out of nowhere, right? Let's just say we start scamming up. You got to get above this value area low. I mean, you also have 100K. I have this marked out as well, right? You have the $100,000 level, which we just lost. This would be important to reclaim as well. However, right, it's just very close to that value area low. So I would just really like to see the flip of that low. So get back up, flip this to support, look for the push into the POC at 101,636, potentially into the 786 at 102,682. And then if you could stay on top of that POC and get above that 786, I'll just be looking at that as a simple volume profile. And we even had the short setup up here from the value area high, right? We looked for the bounce into the value area high, and we had that short setup in the premium Discord. Deviate above the high. We had the bearish divergences here. Not on the 30-minute, but we had some low time frame bear divs here, higher highs, lower highs, get back into the range. POC, value area low, right? And again, we took this scalp long here for that move up, right? But it does not mean that you're not going to see the full fill of the range, right? It's exactly what we looked at on yesterday's live stream. It's like, sure, we can get the bounce, but of course, fulfill of that range is going to be the higher probability, and we've now seen that play out. So that's what I'm looking at for the local move to the upside. Again, higher time frame, like big all-time high moves. We got a lot of work to do. We'll cross that bridge if and when we get there. But I just wanted to bring up some of these high time frame bearish confirmations. Sure, we get the nice move up. But again, this does not necessarily mean, oh my God, all-time highs. Green candles, it's going up forever, right? Not necessarily, right? And those are the big key levels that I'll be looking at. Let me pull up this anchored VWAP again. Let me pull it from the high. Yeah, so you probably have that anchored VWAP coming in as well. So I'm actually going to set some alerts here real quick. Bada boom. And we'll just see if this taps during the live stream. So that's what we're looking at. We'll see if we can squeeze some of those shorts back up here. But again, I am very interested in fading these moves to the upside based off the higher time frames, guys. Again, green dots print. Sure, you can get the bigger push up. But again, money flow coming out. Like you could even see back here in 2021. It's like, you get the move down, it's like, oh my God, right? You start printing the green dot on the 3-day, you wind up getting a 17% move, 15, 16% move to the upside, but what happens? Lower high, lower low. How did you know that was going to come in? Well, you just look at your money flow, right? 2-day green dots are not the same thing as 2-day green dots with money flow coming up, right? Like even here. Big drop down, green dot, you get the retracement, lower high, lower low. Oh my God, green dot on the 2-day. You end up getting a 12% push to the upside, money flow is coming out, lower highs, lower lows, right? It's going to be the same thing that I'm looking at here. And to be quite honest, if I pull this up real quick on the higher time frames, like the macro volume profile, it's like you could see significant retracements here, guys, and still put in lower highs and lower lows, especially if we come down to $91,000. It starts to really not look super good for Bitcoin. I mean, even right now, it's like I'm trying to picture a way that we can get up to new all-time highs very confidently. I just don't see it, right? Even if we come down here with like massive high time frame bullish divergences, sure, like you get daily bull divs, 2-day bull divs, that's a bullish sign for a push up. But if that money flow is still coming out, you're not going to be looking for a massive push to new all-time highs. You're going to be looking for lower highs and lower lows. If something changes, right, if we come down here and it looks really good for all-time highs, we'll be able to see it on the charts, and, we'll change that sentiment, right? But as of right now, lower highs, lower lows. That's the last time I'll say it. So let me come on into the chat. We went over the local levels. Don't forget this POC down here, and, of course, the value area low. These are the macro levels, and then the low. You can mark these off on your chart. Value area high, POC, value area low. And then the local levels are going to be on our local range, which you can also mark off on your chart. Value area low, POC, value area high. And just understand you have this Fibonacci retracement here as well. All right, let's see. Shout out to Dave Hagen said, looks like your pops was right about the top being in. Shout out to Dave Hagen. We'll see. We'll see. It is, he does sell tops like it's his day job, which I guess it technically is. So we'll see. We'll see. He's going to be looking like a genius. He did it. He did it last cycle. We'll see if he gets it again. A lot of people were making jokes about that. They were calling him, Frankie doesn't even know how to read the charts. His dad is just Satoshi. But we'll see. That'll be the new lore if the top is actually in. All right, so let me come back in here real quick. Shout out to Muhammad said, Frankie, how do you manage your risk? How do you decide leverage, risk per trade? How many trades per week in average, loss limit, and stop trading per week? Please teach us risk management. Shout out to Muhammad. I feel like I teach too much risk management because people don't usually want to hear that. But shout out to Muhammad. If you check out the beginner series, there's a video in there called like the only leverage trading tutorial you'll ever need. I talk a lot more about how to set your leverage, how to know how big of a position size to use, and risk management in that video. So go ahead and check that out, and it should be able to help you out very, very well. They build indicators around Frankie's dad. The weekly money flow is based off my dad buying and selling, guys. Shout out to Infinite Team TA. Said, see you at 94K. Thank you for the super chat, bro. Said, see you at 94K. Cheers, Frankie. Bing bong. Oh, shout out to Infinite Team. Yeah, I mean, it is looking likely, at least at this moment, unless we see something super crazy. And I just want to say this, guys. This push-up, right? It's like, oh, my God, we're pushing up. Oh, my God, we're still pushing up. I know that starts to feel very bullish. We are far away from this being very bullish, right? Obviously, the push-up is bullish based off a lower time frame. But, of course, so did this. Looked very good. Oh, my God, we're going up. Anchor VWAP, golden pocket, slams you back down, right? So, like, not every pump is the same. I think it's very important for people to realize, because I think if you don't understand how to like kind of use multi-time frame analysis, right? Like you can have a bearish bias on the higher time frames and still take longs, right? So it's like not every push-up is very bullish, right? And hopefully that is very clear here. It's like, oh my God, we're pumping, back down. Oh my God, we're pumping, back down. Oh my God, we're pumping, back down. And this is identifiable. The money flow is essentially a filter, letting you know if you are going to be better off selling the rips or buying the dips, right? And money flow right now would be saying, and as it has in the past, here, and here, continuation of the downtrend, right? Long it, sure. Just understand that you're looking for the continuation down. Long it, sure. Just make sure you're understanding that the continuation down is more likely. Not going to lie, guys. Pretty upset that I was not on the charts here for that short setup that we had in the premium, because that would have been a beautiful short. That might have been the one. But we'll keep an eye. As soon as things change, guys, I will be the first person to let you know. Let's see. Shout out to X24. Said, after long research and hard work, I spent 2 days in the room hiding. I concluded that the bull market starts on December 7th, and that is confirmed. But now we go down to 91K. Shout out to X24. What happened to November 7th, bro? You said November 7th. I hope you used a different technique to find the start of the bull market this time. Shout out to X24. I think you were the one that was saying November 7th. What happened to that? What happened? Let us know. Let us know. What are you basing it off of? Please let us know, and we'll look into it. Let's see. Shout out to Base Bailey. Said, yeah, I have a tough time with my decisions sometimes. And again, money flow will keep you on the right side of those trades, right? And again, when it comes to 2-day money flow, it's like maybe you see a significant retracement come in, right? Maybe you're like, oh my God, we're pumping. We are really pumping. This looks really good. And then you just get knocked down by the resistance again. How do you know to be very careful on those pumps? Look at your 2-day money flow, right? You can even look at like 2-day money flow not in bear markets, right? Like even in a bull market. Money flow crosses into the red. Look at this. Oh, we just pumped 16%. It's back on. Well, maybe eventually, right? But that money flow's in the red. That tells us you're going to want to fade that for a new low to come. And then eventually, right? And why would you maybe be looking at this as maybe not a strong bottom? Well, I guess you had a little bit of a 2-day bull div, right? But money flows in the red. You're like, I don't know. Then you put in a much healthier bullish divergence, and eventually money flow comes back up, and you get the continuation. So, like, anytime, right? Let's go back and back test it, right? Don't take my word for it. Please do not take my word for it. Just go back and back test this stuff, right? Like, even back here. 2-day money flow crosses into the red, right? This is... I'm enlightened. I'm enlightened, guys. I don't know why that happened. But... even when you look here, right? Like I'll put the vertical line right on that 2-day crossover or 2-day money flow crossover. It's like bounce, lower high, lower low. Oh my God, monster bounce, monster bounce. 31%. Money flow still in the red, lower high, lower low. Where's the lower high come in at? Right into your golden pocket 786 retracement. Right? So when you push into this fib, sure, you could take the long down here, but as you push into this major level where you know there is a high probability of a lower high coming in, and the only reason you're really careful of that lower high is because your money flow is coming out. This indicates high, low, whoops, high, low, lower, high, lower, low, break structure to the downside, right? So like even not in a bear market, even when you do continue up, those money flow crossovers do keep you on the right side of that trade, right? It's telling you that you're better off selling this rip than, maybe FOMOing into a long or holding the long from down here for new all-time highs. All marked out and called live here on the channel, right? And you can do this too, right? Not special. I teach this exactly how I do this every single weekday right here for free. So there you go. That's what we're looking at, guys. I am, maybe we could see a little bit of a retracement. One thing I do like here for the continuation, at least locally, there we go, back above $100,000. That's a good sign to start with. But we had our 80-minute green dot printing here with our 5-minute money flow crossover into the green. That is a market cipher B, 1/16th bullish setup. And you might be saying, like, well, I thought money flow was bearish. What the heck is going on? This is a low time frame confirmation, right? Just make it meaning that your 5-minute money flow is crossing up that 5-minute trend, lower, higher lows, higher highs, could continue. That does not mean all-time highs, right? So we'll see. If this 80-minute money flow stays in the green, maybe we can get that this 5-minute money flow stays in the green with the 80-minute green dot. We could potentially look for a little bit of a continuation up. But these are the next big levels of resistance I'm looking at. So I got the alert set there. We'll see. Maybe we hit it. I'll set an alert here on the value area low as well in case we tap this later on in the stream. But that's what we're looking at, guys. We'll see what happens here next on Bitcoin. Find out on tomorrow's episode of Is Bitcoin Going Lower? Let's see. Shout out to SB Knows says, I'm your average retail investor, and I'm so nervous waiting for alt season. I might just sell my bag. Shout out to SB. Listen, brother, I feel the pain. I feel the pain, man. I know it's really difficult. It's a tough time in the market. And I'm going to get into kind of the altcoins right now. And I think this is why everybody's in like a frenzy right now is because the altcoins, it's like, are we seeing alt season? Should I sell my bags? Now, obviously, I can't tell you when to buy or sell. I just could present you with the information, and then you can use that information, put it into your own analysis, and use it for some of your decision-making, right? But you got to make your own financial decisions. But what do we need to see what do we need to see alt season come in, right? Now, obviously, let me just get rid of some of this stuff. I'll grab this, drag it into the local range. We'll hide that. So what do we need to really see alt season? Now, I showed this the past couple of streams, right? The only time we've seen any kind of alt season come in, right? Obviously not the face melting 200% gains every time you wake up type alt season that we've seen in the past, but the only time we've ever seen any kind of alt season, any kind of significant drop on dominance was back here in Q4 of 2024. And I'll pull this up on the alt template here. Where we at, right? So we came up, we retested this value area low / golden pocket. We started getting the drop to the downside, and that is where we saw a significant run on the altcoins. Now, this does make sense, right? This did make sense because Bitcoin had pretty much broken above the all-time high, right? Or I guess above this all-time high, right? Which is almost the previous all-time high, right? Bitcoin absolutely explodes. Altcoins start to go crazy. Showed this the other day, right? Obviously, this is literally right where XRP took off. We had a lot of other altcoins starting to take off back then as well. There it is, right? Chainlink getting the pop to the upside. Even things like Cardano getting the push to the upside. Now, was this the alt season everybody was hoping for? Brand new all-time highs? Absolutely not. But we did wind up getting that pop up. This is the only thing I can point to, right? That shows us, like, even looking at the weekly time frame, like this is the only time we've really seen those monster weekly green candles. Now, what does this mean for right now? Well, if we look back at 2021, or I'm sorry, I don't want to look back at 2021 just yet, right? But we saw the altcoins run here. Now, when we look at dominance, we have dominance obviously got a pretty big drop to the downside off this 786. We got the drop down. We lost the value area low, and we're starting to push back up here. In my opinion, right, when we look at Bitcoin, in order to see an alt season, either it has to be a situation like this, like we've covered in the past, right? Big breakout, right? Obviously, all the altcoins ripped. In this case, the other situation that we presented is the fact that we might be able to get, if we are able to get some kind of significant retracement, you can sometimes start to see the rollover of profits from Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin puts in the top. Now, this is unfortunate, right? Because if it is going to be the situation where maybe we drop back down to the value area low of this macro range, right? And then we start getting a big retracement. This is an opportunity to potentially see alt season, right? We've covered this all the way back here, which was in September, right? Saying, hey, if we get a drop down here, guys, like, it's very hard for me to say if we lose this level, it's going to be very hard for me to say Bitcoin's going to make a new all-time high. Obviously, we didn't lose it. We didn't have to come down here, but this was like the last time we talked about this was if we lose this level and we did not see an all-time high, which obviously was the case, if we lost this level and came down here, what is the chance that we see an alt season? Well, I think the only other opportunity that you have is to get a bounce on Bitcoin, retrace to the upside, and then at that point, you have the profit rollover from Bitcoin into the altcoins, and then on that retracement, you can start to see if Bitcoin starts dropping on that retracement, you could see those altcoins start to shine. Now, the depressing thing about this is if you are looking for this, you're essentially saying the top is in on Bitcoin, right? Which, in my opinion, as long as we stay below 108K, is going to be the higher probability, right? It's not until we get above 108K and really start cooking up here that I would have to say that's invalidated. Until then, right, below $108,300, below this value area high, it is looking a lot more likely that we could get accepted into the range and push down towards these value area low. If we get the bounce here, it's very difficult for me to say the top is not in on Bitcoin. Why is that? Well, even if we get the bounce here with massive bullish divergences, say on the 2 or 3 day, look at your money flow, right? It would still be indicating lower highs and lower lows. But it's on the retracement. Whether it happens from here or here, I would rather it happen here than down here. But whenever you get that retracement, if you can get the Bitcoin dominance to drop, you might just get the typical rotation. This isn't the alt season that everybody hopes and dreams of, right? We really, in my opinion, need money printing for that, right? We need new liquidity being pushed into the market to see the absolute explosion, golden alt season that everybody dreams of. And if this is your first time in crypto, you probably think crypto people are crazy. You're probably like, what is this mythical alt season that I've never seen before? But we're not in that environment right now, right? So what I would see that as is more of just a rotation from the people already in crypto taking profits on their Bitcoin as the top comes in and rolling it into alts, which could still, I think it's the same thing that we saw here, right? We didn't really have a ton of new liquidity coming in, obviously no money printing or anything like that. So, you might ask yourself, well, why did we see the alt season there, right? It's Bitcoin getting the push up, and then people roll those profits into altcoins, and that's what causes the push to the upside. So it's like an internal rotation of capital rather than a fresh liquidity injection from the outside into the market. So that's the hope, right? The problem with that is if you're looking for that, it is probably indicating that the top is in, right? And then, I don't know, maybe it retraces, Bitcoin dominance goes down, and maybe Bitcoin makes a new all-time high, and then everything explodes. They start printing money, and it's just totally different. That's not what I'm looking for, though. So that's the hope, right? We're coming down to these next key levels. If it doesn't happen at the POC, we're looking for it down at the value area low. But again, if we see that happen, guys, I am taking profits on those altcoins on that retracement very aggressively. So there you go. I'm going to come back in the chat here real quick before we move on. Shout out to Byron, says, you are brilliant. Oh, shout out to you, bro. I appreciate that. He said, but you're assuming that the economic conditions and money flow today is the same 2 months from now, which we all know it won't be with all the bullish macroeconomic signals. So that is my exact argument, right? In order to see an absolute explosion to the upside, right? New all-time highs, right? If you want to see something like new all-time highs, alts running all at the same time, massive euphoria, massive retail interest. If you want something like this, the only thing, right, again, taking a look at the timings of the cycles, right, we are getting very close. I mean, not very close. Like we are already past what you would expect to be the end of the timing of the cycle, which is not end-all, be-all. I'm not one of those people, right? As a matter of fact, I'm going to 100% agree with you here. If you're going to see something different happen, right, like if this time is going to be, people say, is this time different, right? Well, we have to see something different happen. If they start massively printing money, this can actually change the cycle, right? I don't really care about the 4-year cycle. If they start printing money, it puts risk on assets in an environment where they can prosper, right? Go up. If that happens and we get a big pump and Bitcoin dominance drops, maybe that's where you can see everything shoot to the upside, right? But it's very difficult because I do think they will eventually start printing money. But when that happens, right, they might say, oh, we're going to start printing money now, and then all of a sudden bearish news comes out. They're like, actually, due to new information, we're not going to do that anymore, right? So it's like very hard to predict that stuff is like guaranteed going to come in 2 days, right? People do this all the time, right? They do it with the news. I mean, we take a look at XRP here today. What was the, I think the ETFs went live today. People are like, oh, the ETFs go live today. We're going to pump. I mean, We got a 10% drop to the downside, right? So I don't ever just say this stuff to say it, right? It's because it's high probability. Now, I'm not saying that's not going to be good for XRP long term. It could totally change. But again, it's just like I don't really pay a lot of attention to that, like to the narratives, right? But at the end of the day, if they start printing money, it's going to be good for risk on assets, and like that could actually change things because you're actually seeing something that's different. Every time someone calls for this time is different, right? A lot of the time, it's just senselessly holding on to hope. I would argue if someone says this time is different because they're going to start printing money, there's an actual argument there because I do believe if they start printing money, then things could just melt up. But it's a big if, or I think they definitely will. But when they do that is going to be a big if. And at the end of the day, right, regardless of whether you think the top is in for Bitcoin for the cycle, whether you think alt season is going to happen or not, at least the Bitcoin chart looks very, very, very bearish right now. So that can change, and I totally agree with that. So there you go. Let's see. People are so overextended in the market, hoping and praying for any excuse to be bullish. And shout out to Patrick. That's what I try to fight against every single day. Every single day I try to fight against this. And believe it or not, guys, it doesn't matter whether I'm bearish or bullish. If I go against the crowd, people don't want to hear it, right? I have a better time when we're looking for things to go up. Like I dealt with that down here. People are like, dude, you're an idiot, man. This is obviously the top of the cycle. This is exactly what 2021 looked like. We have the weekly bearish divergences, which they're not wrong, right? They are definitely bearish signs, and we actually were looking for this drop. I should pull up the post in the Discord, right? Back in February, we were looking at these divergences, looking for a big drop down to sweep out all these inefficiencies down to $85,000 to $75,000. It's exactly what we saw happen. But down here, everybody was so afraid, right? But all we saw were massive bullish signs. We had the daily bullish divergence printing into a major key level of support, money flow coming up, and it's almost like people don't want to hear that either, right? They're like, well, what do you mean he's going to go back up? Look at this thing. This thing is obviously bearish. And it's like, yes, like coming down is bearish, right? But when you can start to see those signs that indicate a reversal, and especially once you break above this trend line with your money flow crossing over, you're saying to yourself, hey, this trend's probably going to continue up. And this is where we look for new all-time highs, and we wound up getting multiple new all-time highs. I just have a hard time making that argument right now because we don't have the bullish divergences and money flow coming up. We have the opposite, right? We have the bearish divergences and money flow coming out. So we'll see. I mean, listen, if they print money, like especially if it happens like as a shock, maybe that scams you up, right? But that's never my base case. It doesn't mean that if it happens, I'm gonna get wrecked or I'm gonna lose all my money. I think people have this like misconception. It's like if you're bearish and price goes up, you're totally cooked, right? So it's not the case. But if they print money, that could definitely change things, right? But like we'll have to see how that develops over time. There's really nothing that I can say that is pointing towards that, at least on the charts right now. But I will say, right, like I'm not just when I bring up the timing of the cycle, I want to be very clear. I'm not just saying, hey guys, the timing of the cycle is lining up, it's all over. But it would make a lot of sense, right? Not, especially with all the bearish signs, right? If we were this late in the cycle and things look super bullish, well, then I'd probably be saying, well, hey, I'm looking for a move up, guys, right? Like I don't have any personal bias here. Like I only talk about what I see on the charts. If it looked bullish, I would say it looks bullish. I just don't really make that decision. I don't choose what the charts look like. I just read them. So we'll see. Maybe they print money. It's totally different. But again, it's like I try not to put too much weight on those narratives because even if we're not going to go into a bear market, and let's say they do start printing money, this is kind of what I mentioned recently, is like maybe they are going to print money. Maybe they replace Powell in the middle of 2026. They start printing money. That doesn't mean that all these bearish signs are not still going to play out and give you a move to the downside. Whether it's a traditional 70-something% drop to the downside into a bear market, which you would expect, whether it's that or not is another story, right? But even if they start printing money in the middle of 2026, right, like that, we still have a lot of time for these bearish signs to play out, right? So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, all the TA is wrong. As soon as this winds up flipping around and all the TA is wrong, I will be the first person to come up here and be like, hey, guys, all the TA is wrong. And there's really no way around that for me, right? Because we'll come up here, it'll be mooning to new all-time highs, and I'll have no choice but to be like, all right, guys, well, hey, all this money flow just scammed back up. There's no way to predict that, right? So you just got to take the indicators at face value. And I'm glad that we've been doing that so far, right? Because it's been right so far and is 80% of the time. Let's see. Shout out to Crespo Crypto. Thank you for the super chat, bro. He says something big broke internally on October 10th. Shout out to Crespo Crypto. Where's October 10th here? Yeah, I guess on the pull up the on that big liquidation wick. Was that the actual day? Yeah, that big liquidation. And again, guys, like, what was everybody pointing towards here, right? Like, big liquidation compared to 2019. This is the last washout before new all-time highs. And, like, I get why people look at that, right? But what do we talk about? We talked about how this is a much different scenario, right? This was happening in a bear market, right? Not off of an all-time high. We actually compared it and said it's much more similar, cycle-wise, price action-wise, Bitcoin just putting in a new all-time high-wise, bearish divergence-wise, much more similar to this liquidation wick, which what happened? You get the liquidation, you come up, you get the sketchy range, you fill the wick, money flow is coming out, you continue down, right? Very similar, right? You get the drop down, you get the push back up, wonky range, you lose it, and you go lower. This is exactly what we went over. So I can't say that it hasn't been clear on the charts, right? But what do people say, right? People say, well, the charts don't matter. Scream some narrative. Bitcoin's more bullish than ever. This is the low. Let's go up, right? It's just like the most common. It's like the most common thing in markets, right? I don't really know how to say that, right? It's like everybody just wants it to go back up. And again, I'll never sit up here and be like, you're an idiot if you think it's going back up. I'll never say that, right? Because I know. I've been humbled enough in this market, guys. I've been in crypto since like late 2016. Like, I know, and I've been trading for a long time too. Like, I know I've been humbled plenty of times in these markets to understand that, like, the charts can be wrong sometimes. But again, the charts are never going to be, the charts are pointing this way. It's 100% probability. I wish it was, right? But more of what it's like is, like, I think people confuse TA with this. They think that your TA is just going to be right 100% of the time. That's why I always think it's funny. It's like if the TA doesn't play out, people are like, see, the charts don't work. It's like, that's like 2 out of 10 times, right? It just means the higher probability is what the charts are going to say, right? I would say it's probably maybe 75%. I don't have actual statistics, right? But it's definitely more often than not. So it's like, at face value here, the charts are definitely pointing more towards a continuation down. I'm just going to say that, right? It's what we've been saying ever since we took the short up here. So there you go. If something breaks, maybe they start printing money. That's awesome. I just try not to get too attached to the narratives because a lot of times the narratives will get people wrecked. So there we go. Yeah, shout out to Swiffle says there was already a scam wick to new all-time highs right before the liquidation. Pretty much the same thing. Right? Scam it up. Sweep the highs. Liquidation. Bear market. Scam it up. Sweep the highs. Liquidation. I don't know, guys. It's and I'll even pull up let me see if I have this on the chart still. I actually pulled this fractal up. Showed it to the premium Discord a while ago. I actually don't know if I have it on the chart still. But we had a fractal here, which it's pretty wild, right? Like, you get the kind of bearish consolidation, you drop down, and then, like, the target was really here at about on the POC at about $96,700, right? And, like, you can see it's like almost played out exactly the same. Not that I would trade based off of fractal or anything like that, but this was pulled from 2021 and near the same time. So we'll see. I mean, at the end of the day, guys, one day, right, this cycle might break. And that's what you would hope for. At least if you want new all-time highs on Bitcoin. It's just really hard for me to make that argument. I can make an argument for it, but if I had to bet, I would have to bet on the move to the downside, right? Maybe the bet will be wrong, right? I hope the bet is wrong, guys. I've said this the last couple weeks. Like, I will be more than happy. I'd be excited to come up and be like, the TA was wrong. Honestly, I'm praying for it, guys. So, yeah, we'll see. But trust me, betting against the TA does not work as good as a lot of people will think. Shout out to Infinite Team. Thank you for the super chat. Says, smash that like button or BTC goes to 0. Bitcoin is going to effing 0. I'm just kidding, guys. That's a quote from Dan Pena. Shout out to Crespo. Thank you for the super chats. On October 10th, more so impacted alts. Retail on perps wiped. Yeah, shout out to Crespo. I would also say, right, like the two ways that you're going to see alt season is if Bitcoin absolutely explodes to the upside, brings in all new retail interest, maybe they start printing money, then you could see alt season come in. If not, you're hoping for alt season to come in on a retracement. Those are the two main scenarios that we've been talking about for a long time. The roadmap to the explosive all-time highs, retail coming in is a lot harder for me to argue for, right? So in my opinion, really the only thing we can look for is the big retracements, right? And again, just from a simple perspective, how high can that retracement go? You might say to yourself, well, hey, we're back at a $115,000 like all-time highs. It gets a little bit more likely, but again, could end up doing something like that, especially with the high time frame money flow coming out. So as I've mentioned in the past, like any big retracement we get to the upside, guys, I am going to continue rolling out of my Bitcoin positions. And again, I'm not gonna sell all my Bitcoin, right? I will still hold some of it in case we do wind up seeing the crazy situation play out. But you have to understand, right? I'm up about over 450% on my Bitcoin right now. So it makes no sense for me to not take profits up here, right? It's not enough. The chart does not look bullish enough for me to just gamble and hold my entire bag. Well, not my entire bag. I've taken profit previously at my earlier targets, but it makes no sense for me to not take profit on any retracements to the upside. And then if it scams up, I'll still hold a portion of my bag. But again, it's like, let's say Bitcoin goes to 150K. Let's say I take off some here. That's me missing out on 30% when I'm already up hundreds of percent, right? So it's like, is that risk to reward good for me? Probably not, right? So just like, it's not me selling my Bitcoin because I know the top is in, or I'm like super sure the top is in. It definitely doesn't look good right now, I'll tell you that much. But it's more of just like where my positioning is. So we'll see what happens, guys. Pray for Bitcoin, guys. Send it up. Somebody get Golden. Somebody ping Golden. Get him in here. Send it to $1 million. Let's go. Let's see. Shout out to Help said, Bears are so dumb, selling extreme fear. Shout out to Help. I don't think I can help you. Just explained, right? Like, I'm not selling at a loss. I'm not selling at extreme fear. If you think this is extreme fear, I don't know what to tell you. And of course, right, open to the idea of coming back up, right? But the reason I'm going to take profit here, let me just put it as a position, right? Of course, my stop loss is at negative $2,000. You guys all know that. But, right, it makes 0 sense for me with all the bearish signs, even if they don't play out. It makes absolutely 0 sense for me not to take profit on my Bitcoin up here, or more profit on my Bitcoin. Like, why would I risk all these gains? Let's just assume the top is in, right? Let's just assume maybe the top is in, and we go down to 70, 50. Like, why would I risk all this for a potential 30% gain? But Bitcoin's going to 500K. Well, I'll still hold a portion of my Bitcoin. I'll still make a bunch of money. So yeah, and I would never say, right, not selling down here on retracements up, right? People would say the same thing back here, right? Oh my God, why would you sell? We're putting in a higher low. Bitcoin's going up forever. Why would you sell? You're an idiot. Well, selling on that retracement would be the best opportunity to sell before the bear market comes in. But again, I'm not hoping for that, right? I hope this time is totally different. I hope none of the TA matters. I hope none of these bearish signals play out, but it doesn't change the fact that they're there. It's a very difficult situation. I mean, there really is an argument for both sides. But when it comes to actually making money and not just like holding on and round tripping your bags, right, it makes 0 sense for me not to take profits up in here, right? If it continues up, I'll still have a portion of my bag, and I'll continue to take profits on the way up, right? Honestly, if we get massive euphoria, right, like we'll probably be hitting massive targets, and at that point, I'll probably be like, all right, guys, I'm out. Let it go up. I don't care. I've made a ton of money this cycle. It will go back down at some point. And people will be like, you're an idiot. Everyone's saying it's going up. But it's just what you got to deal with when you're looking at the charts. Let's see. Shout out to Mr. B said, daily bull div, last 99K dip, and now daily not closed yet, but isn't it there? Let's take a look at the daily here real quick. Yeah, I mean, you could put in this daily bull div, but one thing to realize is that, look at your money flow, right? Daily bull div, beautiful signal to look for a move to the upside, right? Maybe you get the big retracement, right? And maybe we go to all-time highs. I hope we do. But the money flow is coming out, right? The bull div with money flow freshly coming to the downside, not only on the daily, but also the 2-day, also the 5-day, right? This does not mean, and even with these high time frame green dots, that could assist the retracement to the upside. And this is what we're hoping for, right? This is what we could see potentially trigger alt season, right? On that big retracement. I'm hoping it can happen from here. But the problem here is if I'm going to be calling for a massive move to the upside, what do I need to happen at the same time? I need a bull div with money flow coming up, the exact opposite of what we have happening here. So last dip to 99K, which was right here. We actually, yeah, I mean, we didn't have the daily bull div on this drop. Yeah, you just had lower lows and lower lows, so there was no daily bull div there. But yeah, I mean, you do potentially have that daily bull div, which is something that we looked at on the live stream last night. Not only on the daily, but also like the 16-hour, right? Like we could print these daily bull divs or daily and 16-hour bull divs, and it could give you a push to the upside, right? This is not where I'd be looking for a fresh short, obviously, right? Like you're going to be expecting some kind of a bounce. But again, unless all this money flow cranks back to the upside, right, which potentially could happen, right, I would just be careful for that to be like a moonshot to all-time highs. So there you go. Yeah, so we'll see what happens here, guys. It is wake me up when we get back above $112,000. Then it'll start to get really interesting to potentially get a bigger breakout. Q4 is not over yet. And, of course, are we back above the yeah, I mean, getting above 103K would also be important because that's your 50-week moving average, right? So you just have a lot of work to do. So we'll see. We get stuck under here, guys. It is just historically not a great sign. So hopefully we can crack up, get the bigger retracement, and then when it comes time, we could start to say, hey, maybe we're playing around in this bigger upper range, right? We could start to, we could start to say to ourselves, now what does money flow look like, right? Whoops, not this one, this one, right? Now what does money flow look like, right? Is money flow cranking back up? Does it look super bullish? At that point, maybe we can call for all-time highs. But again, these two big key levels of resistance are going to be very important, right? Because that could be where a lower high comes in. We get above it, send it into new all-time highs. All rainbows and butterflies. Send the altcoins to the moon. Bitcoin to the moon. Absolutely beautiful. So we'll see. And there's always going to be a portion of my Bitcoin that I never sell, guys. So just keep that in mind as well. All right, let's see. Closing all those scalps for Black Friday and Christmas. Shout out to Neon Visual. Let's go, baby. Got to pay yourself when you're in the green, or you could very quickly go into the red. All right, let's see. Yo, shout out to Wick589 said Frankie round trip with me. We'll do it together, brother. We'll do it together. All right, Golden disappears after he dumped the market. Shout out to Cryptito. Yeah, maybe that. We haven't seen Golden in a little while. Maybe he's out there just selling Bitcoin full time. BTC makes a lower high, alts running a little bit, and bear market and dominance nuking to the downside. Shout out to Perry. I'm not sure exactly what you're asking there. If you could reword it, I will try my best to answer that for you. Satoshi's giving us a Black Friday discount. Hopefully that's what it is, right? But yeah, hopefully I kind of draw a clear roadmap here, guys. Like for new all-time highs on Bitcoin. Get back above, I mean, hopefully we can close the weekly candle above the 50-week moving average, right? Get back inside our upper range. And then, you know, even once we get above like $112,000, right, I'm going to feel a lot better about seeing a bigger continuation up. And then at this moment, if this money flow is cranking back to the upside on the higher time frames, then we can argue maybe we can see all-time highs. But it's an if this, then that, right? If this, then that, right? As of right now, there's just no, you know, I can't really call for that, right? Because like you get above the 50-week, it's like, okay, cool, that's step number one. Get above $108,000 above your macro value area high. Okay, cool. That's step number two, right? And again, this is why I mentioned this as the biggest level on the chart locally, right? Because obviously we're really far away from 112K right now. But this $108,000 level locally, I don't know if we're going to get this push up by tomorrow. Maybe we will. But this is like the first big level to get above. If we can't get above this, right, there's no reason to even be looking to flip those levels above, right? So just one step at a time, setting the levels, waiting for them to get tapped. That's your level number one, $108,324. Once you flip it back above that, start to say to yourself, okay, now we're back above the level that was holding us back from all-time highs. It doesn't make me feel as good as when we retested and held it, right? Once we held this level, everybody was super scared. Everybody was super, oh my God, we're going to zero. What's happening, right? But hey, guys, as long as we hold on top of 108K, we don't lose this level, we could see new all-time highs. We got that. We longed it. We then shorted the all-time high back down, right? So if we can get above 108K, it's like, all right, well, nice. This is, you know, you're back above that big level. However, you still got to get above those retracements, right? And all those range levels that we have in here that I just showed. But that would be like macro sign of strength number one. It doesn't get you completely out of the woods just yet. So we'll see. I'll cover it live as the price action develops for you guys. Um, Frankie, shout out to Optimus said, Frankie, do you know me? I don't know if that's what you meant to say. What was fear and greed index in the last bull run when we dumped? I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to look at it. Shout out to Selmore. Said we are still not at the bottom. Shout out to Selmore or Selmore. Maybe you should change your name to Selmore. But yeah, potentially not. Right? I mean, the charts are definitely pointing lower, guys. I pray it's wrong. Right? I don't just make these decisions off of nothing. And I could be wrong. I'll be honest, guys. We really, like, I have been wrong before. I will be wrong again, right? But we haven't really been wrong in a long time. I guess maybe that's a bullish case. I haven't been wrong in a long time, so maybe we're due to be wrong, super wrong. I hope. I hope so. But of course, like, once we come up here, guys, there will eventually be things that we can look at to change the sentiment, right? You know, if we ripped up here, we flip 108K and we just start mooning through here, well, at that point, it's like, let's just hold on, right? But it's like I just need to see that push up. There's nothing really screaming that. Again, money flow coming out on the 2-day. It's not just some arbitrary indicator. This has obviously been very accurate in the past. And it's not the only thing, right? It's like all these things coming together. You want to use confluences, right? It's never like, oh my God, bullish divergence, go to the moon, right? But if you have a bullish divergence at a key level of support with money flow coming up, you have massive moving averages or whatever you're looking at, then you could say to yourself, well, now I have multiple things pointing for a massive move to the upside. I would say it's very split right now. I would say there's more pointing to the downside, but there's not nothing. I can't say that there's guaranteed no chance that we go into new all-time highs. And again, everyone's in a different situation. When I say that I'm going to start peeling off some Bitcoin if we get a bigger retracement, that does not mean that I'm just going to sell all my Bitcoin, tops in, guaranteed, right? Again, it has a lot to do with my positioning. If you're holding Bitcoin from $20,000, you have to take profit at some point, right? Look back to the 2021 bull market. If you were buying in at the bear market, right, down here, and you are not taking profit anywhere, right? You're just like, oh my God, we're at 50K. It's going to 100K, all right? Everyone thought it was going to 100K this cycle. I'm not taking profit. Idiots. Why would you take profit, right? Like, you can never say someone is stupid for taking profits, right? It's not like, oh my God, the top is in, I'm selling this all, we're definitely going into a bear market. But taking a little bit of profit here is never a bad idea, especially if you're holding for much lower, right? So that's my stance. I'm not just selling, I'm not just going to be selling my Bitcoin because I know the top is in and it's never going back up, right? But when you're up, if you get the retracement, say, to 108K, 400% on your Bitcoin, right? Like, I'm going to take some profit. I already did take some profit up here. People say the same thing. They're like, why would you sell Bitcoin? It's going to go up way more. And it's like, well, I've already made a ton of money, right? So it's like, I'm not selling my whole bag. I'm just taking profit, right? It's like in a trade. It's like, if you were just never going to take profit and hope for price to go up and go up and go up and go up, especially if it's your first cycle, be careful with that, right? Because if you don't pay yourself, you will very quickly go in the red, right? It doesn't mean that as soon as you sell, it has to go into a bear market. Like, even here, if you sold, say you sold here at 46K, at the end of the day, what did you miss out on, right? Let's say you bought into the bottom of the bear market, you rode it up to 47K, you're up 1,100%, right? Let's say you sold your whole bag here. People will be calling you a moron all throughout here. Then you'd be a genius, then you'd be a moron again, and then as the dust settles, what did you miss out on? You made 1,100% and missed out on an additional 47%. Right? And then what happens if you're not taking profit? Well, sure, you'll be up a ton, right? You'll hold it to the tippy top, right? But if you're going to be thinking the same thing here, you're not going to want to take profit, and then all of a sudden, you go from $1,800 in profit all the way back to the bottom, and now you're up 330%, right? You're going to be kicking yourself if you don't take profit up there. I'm not telling anybody what to do, but this is just to talk about why I'm taking profit, right? If you're just going to, unless you have a long-term view, right? Like, if you just want to hold your Bitcoin for 25 years, then I would never say, like, I would never call anyone stupid for not selling up here. If you're like, I'm holding this for 50 years, it's like, all right, well, cool. You just continue to buy over time. It's going to trend up, right? For the, very likely. So there you go. But that's not the case that a lot of people are in, right? A lot of people are in from here. A lot of people are probably in from here. A lot of people are probably in from here, right? So they're in a little bit of a harder situation. If you were buying up here, you're now in drawdown, right? If I were buying in here, I would not be selling at a loss, right? So anyway, everyone's in a different situation. But let's see. Always pay yourself. Shout out to Patrick. 100%. 100%, bro. There's always a trade around the corner. Always. Do TP. Don't screw it up. Shout out to Mickey. Absolutely. Especially with your short-term trades. That's for sure. That's how I got wrecked. Shout out to Michael. That's how a lot of people got wrecked. I think like tons of people round-trip their bags that last cycle. So, yeah. I mean, and again, like, at some point, guys, like, it's such a dangerous mindset to have, right? Very, very dangerous mindset to have to just, like, not want to take profits. That is called greed, right? So it's like you don't want to sell massive fear, but you also don't want to hold on through massive greed, right? You have to pay yourself. It's like literally the most simple way people get wrecked. They get too greedy, and then they get too fearful, right? Same thing happened in the bear market. Everybody was calling for 8K, 3K. I was looking between 12 and 14K. We bottomed out at 15.5, right? People would say, well, dang, you missed the bottom. No, right? I dollar cost averaged in, right? There's a big difference between being able to look at the market and call moves up and down and actually making money, right? You could have nailed the bottom of this bear market, or I'm sorry, let me go back here, right? You could have nailed the bottom of the 2018 bear market, right? You could have bought here, right? And then you nailed it. Oh my God, I'm up massively, right? And I'm not saying you have to take profit here, but let's just use this price action as an example. If you're up, you buy the bottom of the bear market and you're up 300%, right? You take no profit. And again, I know the bull market is here. This wouldn't be the case for me, but let's just use this price action as just raw candles. If you take this trade and you're not taking profit, what happens? Very quickly, you're not in profit anymore, right? So like for like a swing levers long, right? Like you got to take profits on those moves up, right? And then what's going to happen here? You're probably going to get stopped out at a loss or maybe stopped out at break even. But you can just see how fast things can change, right? That's all I'm trying to say, right? You got to pay yourself. Especially like day trades and stuff, it's like missing moves, right? Like longing from getting a 10% move, right, from 99.2 to say 109K is the same thing as a 10% move from 109.5 to 120K, right? So if you miss that 10% move, there's always going to be another move, right? For the short-term trades. Obviously, long-term, it's a little bit different. But anyway. I digress. Let's go ahead and jump into some of the altcoins. I'm going to cover these very briefly, guys. I'm not going to go super long on the altcoins tonight. Yo, shout out to Matt says, yay, back below 100K. I'm going to use revenge leverage 1000x long. Shout out to Optimus. Oh, God. Well, anyway. Which area do I think is best to look for longs? It depends. It's kind of it really depends, right? Like it's kind of the same thing when people say, are you bearish or bullish? Well, like over the next 5 minutes, over the next 2 days, over the next week, over the next 6 months, over the next 3 years. It all depends, right? So like, are you looking for like low time frame scalps? Are you looking for longer term swing trades? What I can tell you is that the next big area of interest for me is going to be where we have the next area of confluence, right? Which is really down towards the value area low, macro golden pocket. And if we just pull up our MPOCs here, guys, like this was the MPOCs that we had recently. If we can't reclaim these for a bigger retracement up, the next MPOCs, at least on the daily, I can pull up the weeklies as well, right? $94,000 to $91,000, which is literally the exact level on the volume profile. Where is it? Right here. Right on the golden pocket, right? So when I say where are the confluences, value area low, golden pocket, 2 daily MPOCs, right? Until then, we don't have a lot underneath us, right? Like there's no other levels here. There's no dailies, there's no weeklies, there's nothing until we get down here. So that does not mean that you can't catch bounces off the POC. Again, we have the POC at about 96,633. Maybe you get a bounce there. But again, as far as like big confluent levels, it's really sitting down here. And then if we can't hold that value area low and we lose that range, I'm looking down between $85,000 and $82,000. Now, I'm not saying you have to go there right now, right? But I'm just, when I bring up the key levels, right, like this is factual. This is not my opinion. Where's the next big levels of support? Here. And here. That just is what it is, right? Now, sure, you could catch some bounces off that POC right here, $96,633. Sure. Will I be taking scalps there? For sure, right? Even took a little scalp today. Wow, look at that retest on the daily naked point of control. But even today, guys, made like almost $1,200. I think it was on this bounce to the upside. So it's just like, I look at my trading, guys, like my day trading is like my active income, right? My long-term bags are my long-term investments. And like at the end of the day, right, like obviously, as I just explained, I'm not looking to round trip my bags here. But at the end of the day, guys, like if we got some kind of mega candle to the downside and we wake up tomorrow and you're at 50K, at that point, right, I'm still pretty decently in profit. I'd still be up, 156%. But it's just like, I do have a longer term view. I have a percentage of my Bitcoin that I will never sell, right? So, it is important to kind of separate those things. Like my leverage trading is a very small portion of my portfolio. That is my earned income. That's like my day job. I have to do labor to make that money. I have to watch the charts. I have to take the trades. I have to manage the trades. I have to be on the computer. That's my earned income. But as far as like the long-term bags, yes, I will take a lot of my profit. But there is a portion of my Bitcoin I'm just going to hold for forever, probably, right? To eventually give to my kids, I hope, if crypto doesn't go to zero forever. But that would be the plan, right? I do think Bitcoin will continue trending up over the long term, over many years. I think one Bitcoin will be worth $1 million at some point. When that is very hard to call. Shout out to Steez, says, or Styes TV. I don't know how to say that. He says that descending wedge on the 3-day, though, that could give an insane turnaround. I would say, obviously, you can look at descending wedges, right? I mean, you can look at whatever you want, obviously. But let's see, 3-day. It's probably something like what you're looking at, something like this. Sure. Definitely looks like a descending wedge to me. Only problem is, if I could try to find another descending wedge. Like, if you see those descending wedges, right, like, here's the only problem I have with that. And it's not to say that it can't play out, right? And again, the hope would be descending wedge, breakout, money flow. Like, this is the only problem I have, right? Like, just like all bullish divergences aren't created equal, all patterns aren't created equal either, right? Now, I'm not a pattern trader. I'm not saying I would never look at them or use them in my analysis. I just wouldn't trade based off them alone. But here's the problem. If I'm looking for massive moves to the upside, say new all-time highs, well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to literally make the green money flow red, and I'm going to make the red money flow green, meaning I'm literally going to flip market cipher B upside down. This would look very bullish, right? This descending wedge would look very bullish if we had bullish divergences, and again, if money flow looked like this. That would be very bullish. We have the opposite. Sure, descending wedge. Sure, it could just play out. Maybe the money flow scams to the upside. You're just betting on that fake out. You have the green dot looking to print. That's not the worst thing ever. But in order for that to bring you to all-time highs, it's just really hard for me to front-run that right now because money flow, of course, is pointing for lower highs and lower lows. So until you see that money flow turn around, it's going to be very hard to look at that. It is on the chart. It is absolutely on the chart. It absolutely could play out. Is the probability very high that it's going to bring into new all-time highs? I would say based off the information here, probably not. But probably does not mean guaranteed. But I always say that, and then we always wind up coming back on the stream, and it's like, well, the TA played out again. I tried to say it. But anyway. Shout out to Brian Varney. He says, Frankie, there is a good video showing a macro trend line. Bitcoin's tracking since inception that says 1 million in late 2029. We'll see. We'll see. I would say, just off face value, right? Not really. That sounds a little soon for me. But we'll see. Hopefully that is the case. All right, let's buzzards gotta eat some worms. Shout out to Wick 589. I don't even know what that means, brother. Shout out to Wick 589, OG of the CandleMafia. But yeah, guys, also want to take a look at Solana real quick. What are we looking at on Solana, guys? Here's the volume profile. We come on down to a daily time frame. What do we look at here? All based off volume profiles, all based off money flow. Sure, we got the liquidation wick. We look for the potential fill of that wick into what? Here's the bottom of that wick. Sure, we front run it, but what do you have underneath you? That POC sitting at that famous number, $142, or we call it $141.52, down to $133.54. This was our next major support level for Solana. Why were we not getting excited off this bounce? Why were we not getting excited off of these bounces? It all had to do with money flow coming out. A lot of people call you crazy. What are you talking about? We're pumping. This guy's a moron. What are you doing? We're pumping. You're a moron. Stuck inside the range. Once you can't get out, the next likely place for price to go, the POC of the range. The volume profiles will change your life, guys. Absolutely change your life. There's your value area high. There's your value area low. Can't get out of your volume profile. You tried to test it. You tried to test it. You can't get out. You get stuck underneath with money flow coming out, right? It's all about money flow a lot of the time, right? If we had gotten the bounce, started flipping this level of support with money flow and a big red wave crossing into the green, well, we could say, hey, let's look for a big bounce. But why was I not looking for a big bounce here? It's the same thing that we looked at on Bitcoin. All your money flow is coming out. Daily money flow crossing out. 2-day money flow coming out very aggressively. And I believe even the lower time frames, 4-hour money flow crosses into the red. Can't get out. Money flow crosses into the red. At this point, you're looking for lower highs and lower lows. And our next key level was sitting down here at the POC. And we're now sitting there right now. Sounds crazy until it comes in. So we're at the POC. Do I see massive bounces at this level? Well, let me look into the crystal ball really quickly. Crystal ball is foggy right now, guys. But let's see here. Let's take a look at the daily. So potential daily bull div. But again, so you do have lower lows on your price action, higher lows on your momentum waves into your key level of support, which you had to wait for a long time. People will get all crazed. Oh, my God, we're pumping. What if we don't go back down? More often than not, you will go down there. You have a potential daily bull div looking to print. But again, I can't say it's the most bullish divergence. I can't say it's the most bullish divergence. Why? Well, look at your money flow coming out. Look at your 2-day money flow coming out. Let's just go back to Bitcoin real quick. When your 2-day money flow was coming out before it crossed red. Let's bring it back. We're pumping, super bullish, money flow, trending out over time. Very likely lower high, lower low to come, right? We can even move it forward just a little bit. Even here, oh my God, we're bouncing. Money flow is coming out. You are eventually expecting a move to the downside. It does not mean you can't bounce. The reason I harp on the money flow so much, guys, is because it takes the emotion out of the retracements, right? Like price is like a ball, right? It's like a bouncy ball. It'll bounce, 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 right? So you want to not get too excited if you're in a downtrend and that first bounce, right, is going to come up here. The second bounce is probably going to go a little lower, right? And then you're making lower lows and lower highs, right? So the money flow lets you know when you should not be getting excited over the little bounces before you go lower, right? It tells you to short, 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 not long for all-time highs. It's very important. It's very simple to look at as well. It's very easy to understand. It's very easy to look at. It's easy on the eyes, as they would say, right? So 2-day money flow continues out, right? Oh, my God, we're bouncing. This is super bullish. Look at your money flow. This does not mean you're going up forever, right? The money flow is letting you know the higher probability is down. I know I'm repeating myself, but look what happens here, right? So when you look at Solana, it's very similar. It's literally the same thing on any asset that you look at. 2-day money flow is about to cross into the red. Does that mean that this bounce is going to bring you to new all-time highs? Probably not. It's probably going to play out exactly like it did on Bitcoin. And I hope it goes to new all-time highs. I hold Solana, right? But the chart is telling me, sure, we can bounce if we get the divs to print, but it's probably going to be a lower high and a lower low. And if it's not going to be a local lower high, it could be a bigger, more macro lower high, right, to continue the overall downtrend. So that's why I wouldn't get super, super excited here. We're at support. I do think you can bounce, but to be clear, the lens that we have to look at that bounce through is through the lens of declining money flow. So there you go. But we'll see here. Let's see. We have any like 4-hour bull divs? Yeah, no 4-hour bull divs here either. I guess you could mark this out as somewhat of a 4-hour bull div. Lower lows on price, higher lows on your momentum waves. So, of course, this is not a place where I would look to short into support. Right? If I were looking for shorts, I'd be waiting for the pushes up where people get very aggressively excited. Oh, my God, we're going up. Not the case, right? I'd be looking for the short. I didn't take it, right? I don't really trade Solana, but that's kind of what the money flow helps you avoid, right? Oh, my God, we're bouncing. Is this bullish, or should I be looking to fade that? Money flow will always help you out with that. It's not going to be right 100% of the time, but once you start understanding it, it's really going to help you out. I promise you that. Very simple to look at. So we'll see. Maybe we get a little bit of a local bounce. I'll pull up some local level, hyper local levels here. Just pull our volume profile here before the breakdown. So we have this range right here. Value area high, POC, value area low. So at this point, right, I would really like, it's like even your 1 hour doesn't really have a div. It's kind of similar to Bitcoin. Like, I don't really know. Are we still back above? No, we're back below 100K. But like looking at this momentum wave, like what do I want to see, right? I probably want to see like low time frame bull divs, right? With money flow coming up to indicate some kind of a bigger retracement up, right? So I don't know if you're going to get there off this first bounce. You might have to play around with this POC a little bit. It is the strongest level within the profile. Does act as the strongest magnet. But if you do get a push to the upside, let me pull up the... Actually, I'm going to pull this from the 1 hour. Move the POC here. So, yeah, I mean, this is your local range to the upside. Value area low, 152.41. POC sitting at 156.37. And then your value area high is at 162.94. So if you do get a bigger retracement, this is the range that you want to break back into. But even then, right, like the high time frame money flow is still pointing out. So let me pull from our high. Whoops. Pull from our high to our low. Yeah, not a ton of confluence on the value area high. Let's pull it from here. POC value area low confluence. So I'll mark this out as a key level of resistance, right? If you continue the aggressive downtrend, this would be the first place to look for a potential lower high. And then you can also pull it from here, which gives you same confluence up there. And then you have your POC confluence as well. All right, so these are going to be the big levels that I would look at on Solana if we get the bounce. So that sits between about, right, if we stretch that up to the golden pocket, 154.09 to 150.93, and then the 786 POC sits at about 156.64. Once you get above that, right, let's say you do get maybe a bigger bounce, get above here, flip that 786, then you could look for the value area high at 162.94. Those would be the levels that I'm looking at on Solana. See, 80-minute money flow in the red. Yeah, 2-day red dot printing, 3-day green dot looking to print. So we'll see. We'll see. Now, if you lose support here and you break down below that POC, obvious next target is going to be that value area low at 133.54. Same levels that we looked at over the past few streams. And there you go, right? Here is the actual zone that we had marked out on previous streams. POC, value area low, 786. We're now pushing into that level. All right. Everything keeps bing-bonging. Shout out to Tuesday. Tuesday's gone. It is now Thursday, so Tuesday is long gone. And look at that. I'm just eating that gain back up. Come on, Bitcoin. You can do it, Bitcoin. Come on. Shout out to Mickey, said 141 already. Dang. A few hours ago, it was 153. Time flies. Shout out to Mickey. Yeah, time flies when price is going down. First candle close below 188 days is bearish. Shout out to Patrick. I assume. You're talking about the daily candle, I assume. Yeah, if this daily candle closes below there, is that the first daily close we've had below 100K? Does indeed, well, oh, he didn't say ever. I think he said it in 188 days. Is that what he said? But yeah, we'll see where that where this daily candle ends up closing. Let's see. Shout out to Creighton. Thank you for the super chat, brother. Says Frankie, I bought 126K. George said super cycle, just like 2021 top. Then I was told M2 money supply. Plan B said 1 million. Sailor said 10 million. Lucky I learned TA from you. Suck it, Sailor. Shout out to Creighton C. I appreciate you, Creighton. Thank you for the super chat. And yeah, I mean, listen, it's so difficult, right? Because it's like always the narratives, right? Like M2, super cycle, and listen, like I think eventually that will come true. But for me to call for a super cycle, I need to see something different happening, and maybe they start printing money, and maybe this is the time it's different. But even as I said in the beginning of the stream, guys, even if this is not a bear market, right? Like even if we are not even if the top is not in and we're not going into a bear market, like the charts on the higher time frames are just still not pointing towards massive moves up, right? So in order to look for the massive move up, you kind of just have to hope, right? But that's just not what I make my decisions off of. So, maybe we go down for, maybe we wind up going down to 90, just like really trying to grasp at any kind of bullish situation here for all-time highs. But it's like, I don't know, like maybe we go down to 90K and then the super cycle happens. Maybe. It's just not like at that point I have to say to myself, what does money flow look like, right? And just bring it back to previous cycles. I say this a lot, but I think it's important, right? Because I think a lot of people don't want to hear this. They don't want to listen to it. They just want to hear it's going up. And I have a responsibility, guys. I will never just come up here and say it's going up. Like, even if we just shoot up into new all-time highs, I'm not up here saying it's bearish because I want it to go down. I'm up here saying it looks bearish because the chart looks bearish. It's like the same thing here. Super cycle, super cycle, super cycle. I've been through multiple cycles here. It didn't matter. It didn't matter here. It is almost never mattered when people say this time is different. It's usually people holding on for hope. So it's like a lot of people called super cycle here. I am friends with a lot of people that are full-time in crypto, and they were looking at this to be the bottom, and I just didn't see it on the chart. I got roasted here, guys. I got the most hate I've ever gotten in my life for saying that I thought this was going to be, hey, guys, top is in, probably going in for a bigger move down. Now, what was that based off of? It was based off the weekly blood diamond that we had up here. It was based off the weekly blood diamond that we had up here. It was also based off bearish divergences confirmed and high time frame money flow coming out. Weekly, 4-day, 3-day, 6-day, and of course the weekly. That's why I looked for the move down, right? People hated me for that. But I'm just like, I'm not saying it because I want to. It's just what's on the charts. Now, could this have scammed up to 100K and that time was different? Sure, there's always a possibility. But again, the higher probability, not guaranteed, the higher probability was a move down. So it's just why, like, it doesn't matter what the narrative is for me, right? And I've showed it a million times on the, shown it so many times here on the cycle chart, right? I have to keep it real, right? Like I want the crypto community to have somewhere to come to just get information, right? No biases, right? Of course, it's beneficial for the YouTube channel for me to just say it's going up. You'll get more clicks. You'll get more views. People will like it more. But that's not helpful to help people make money, right? So I just want people to have a place to come and just like, I'm just going to give you an unbiased opinion, right? Like, I don't have a bias on where I want price to go other than the bias the chart is giving me, right? So you're never going to get that emotion from me. You're never going to get me calling super cycle for no reason. If they start printing money, you'll start hearing me say, hey, guys, this time might be different because there's actually something that could move the market that is changing here that we have not seen, right? But it just has to be based off information. So it's not just simple, Bitcoin's more bullish than ever. I mean, take the XRP stuff. Like, people were saying yesterday, oh my God, the ETFs were being approved. What was my bias there? My bias was, listen, could it pump off that news? Maybe. But you got to be very, very, very careful. Now, I'm not saying it went to zero or anything, but it's like, if that was supposed to be so bullish, why did price dump? It doesn't translate one-to-one on price. That's where I brought up the Bitcoin ETF approvals, right? Was it bullish for crypto long-term, Bitcoin long-term? Absolutely. Was it bullish when they announced it? Absolutely not, right? It's a buy the rumor, sell the news event. Doesn't mean it's not good long-term, but it doesn't just translate one-to-one on price, right? Just because it's almost like, it's not the only thing that moves the market, right? You have liquidity. You have all this other stuff that moves the market. So you could look at it as like, and again, like bullish case here is different, right? Because you still had the halving coming in. You still had an expected bull run to come in. And, they announce it, dump to the downside. We could bring up all the news events that I have marked out on this cycle chart, which, of course, will show you that most news events actually mark tops, right? Bitcoin's more bullish than ever. Coinbase IPO announcement. This is mass adoption. 55% dump to the downside. Then it goes back up. What happens here? ProShares Futures ETF launch. This is bullish. Bitcoin's never been more bullish. Bear market. right here. Facebook involved in crypto. This is mass adoption. Top comes in, massive. I mean, you could argue that this wouldn't have happened without the Black Swan event. Even back here. Oh, my God, CME futures launch. Literally the top before a bear market, right? So it's not one-to-one. Like, could that be good long-term for the market? Sure. It doesn't stop price from coming down temporarily, right? Although this was kind of, it was temporary. It was long, but still temporary. So, yeah, I mean, this is just what I look at on the charts, guys. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Let's check in on the lower time frames. Good Lord, man. This thing just cannot hold up. Cannot hold up. I pray the top isn't in, man, but we'll see. We'll see. Let's jump back in the chat. Bitcoin is getting cheaper. Shout out to Optimus. Sell the news. Shout out to Dizzy Gang. If the majority that are interested in crypto are in crypto, there are more sellers. Yeah, shout out to Matt. That's the other thing, too. It's like, a lot of people will argue, right? You have no massive euphoria up here, which is true, right? Like, typically, what happens at tops? You have massive euphoria. Everyone's calling for price to go up. It's massive greed. The top comes in. We don't really necessarily have that right now. But, again, it's somewhat similar, right? Social sentiment peaks here. Makes a lower high here, right? We have more retail interest back here. So unless Bitcoin gets some kind of exciting move to the upside, it's like I think most people need to, like, anytime you hear somebody come in that are like, anybody you talk to that's like, yeah, these people are idiots because they're bulls, or these people are morons because they're bears. This is the biggest telltale sign that someone has not been in the market or doesn't know what they're doing, right? Anytime someone says that to me, it's like I could just tell how green you are, right? Because if you were in the market enough, if you actually traded the market, if you've actually been through multiple cycles, if you've actually made money in crypto, you will know that you will be humbled, right? You'll know that there were times where you thought it would never go lower and it went lower. And you thought there were times where the top was coming in and the top didn't come in. And you knew there were times where you thought the bottom was coming in and the bottom didn't come in. That's why I take such an informational-based approach, because there's always going to be an argument for up and there's always going to be an argument for down. What you want to do is stack the evidence pieces, or what I do, I should say. Not what you should do, but what I do, and has worked time and time again, is understand price can go up, price can go down. Stack your evidence on both sides. Whatever side has more evidence, that's probably the higher probability case. And for me, when I stack those evidence pieces, they're evidence pieces from the chart. And of course, maybe I could think like, well, maybe they'll print money. But that's not something that is happening, right? That's something that could happen maybe soon. That's not the same as weekly bearish divergence confirmed, right? It's much different. So that's why you guys never see me be like, all these idiots, right? Now, obviously, I think it's very obvious that my tone is much more bearish here. And we've looked at this happening all the way back here. It's like, guys, we break below this. It's not looking good. I'm looking down towards that POC. And heck, even if we don't tap that POC, look how close you get to it, right? It's like, we lose this decisively, the next stop is that POC. And I still do think there's a high probability that you see that happen. Unless you scam out of here and flip 108K, that's still the next major target to the downside. 91, 92K. People will say, oh my God, this guy's an idiot. This guy's a clown. But it just keeps tapping time and time again, right? So, like, that doesn't affect me. What does affect me is making decisions based off the chart and actually making money. So you got to kind of, like, take that stance. Don't listen to what someone says or someone feels. And the more emotional and decisive they are about it, it's hard, right? Because when someone's super decisive, guys, super cycle, don't sell your altcoins. Alt season's coming, guaranteed. These people get everyone wrecked every single time. Every cycle it happens. There's always someone calling for up, and there's also always people calling for down, right? There were people in the bear market saying, this is going to 8K, don't buy, don't buy, don't buy. Trust me, guys, 100% you're an idiot if you're buying this. This is obviously super bearish. Exchanges are going down. You're an idiot if you're buying here. What happens? Bing, bong, bull market, right? But it's the decisiveness that people have. When I came down here, I have a video on the channel you could still find. I said, where are we looking for a bottom to come in on Bitcoin? It's always a unbiased, egoless analysis. And then you just make your educated guesses with risk management based off that analysis, right? What I was looking for down here for the bottom to come in was a bullish divergence on the weekly time frame. I don't know if the bottom's going to come in at exactly 14K or exactly 12K, or if it's going to come in at exactly 15K, or if you're going to hold 15K and wick down to 12K. You're never going to be able to guess that, guys. Trust me. Nobody can. 0 people can. And what was I looking for? Weekly bullish divergence, and the targets I was looking at were 12 to 14K. Did we hit 12K? No. Did we hit 14K? No. We bottomed out at 15.5. Did I miss the bottom? No, because my thought process was even if we go a little lower, we're going to 12 to 14K. I dollar cost average into the market. As you dump, your average entry price comes lower and lower. I even dollar cost average in on the way up here. I think I stopped like right about here. And now you have an average entry price, right? Didn't have to hit 12 to 14K. People were like, this guy was waiting for 12K. He didn't hit it, right? Well, I'm not just waiting for that exact moment. I'm not 100% confident that this is the bottom. I'm also not 100% confident that you're going lower. But I know I'm going to ballpark it. I know these weekly bull divs are very good for high time frame bottoms. I know once that weekly money flow crosses into the green, which it did right here, I know every other cycle that is marked at the bottom is in, and we are about to continue into a bull market. That is what I made my decisions based off of on this channel, live with you guys, walking you through it every step of the way. And it plays out, right? It could have been wrong, but again, the charts are right once again, right? And it's never going to be 100% probability, right? Just understand that. That's why we do things like dollar cost average. I'm not going to wait until I hit 14K to dump my whole bag in, because what happens if you don't go to 14K? But people will think, well, if you look at the chart, shouldn't you know if it's going to go to 14K? Not necessarily, right? You have to understand where the support is. You have to understand what signals you're looking for, and you have to manage the risk. That's what dollar cost averaging is doing. It's managing the risk, right? Maybe I bought in here and price went lower. People are like, you're an idiot if you bought there. No, like you just don't know the plan, right? Like anytime someone gets super decisive or super emotional, it just shows how green they are, which is totally fine, right? But if you feel that way, right, just understand that you need to fix that because it's going to get you wrecked. I promise. It's how I felt in the beginning. The reason I say all this stuff is because I've gone through every step of being a horrible trader, a horrible investor, making every mistake in the book, blowing up tons of accounts, to finally understanding how this stuff works and making it work over time. So just be careful out there. And there's a lot more incentive for people to be very bullish than bearish, right? I have a lot more incentive from a YouTube standpoint, from a content creator standpoint, to just be mega bullish and tell people what they want to hear. I can't do it, guys. I feel a responsibility to be honest on this channel and show you what I see on the charts. And it's right more often than not anyway. But I have every incentive to just say, price is going up, super cycle. Please don't leave crypto. Keep watching my channel. Keep clicking the like button. But my morals and my values are just above all of that, right? So there you go. Hopefully it helps you guys out. And I just want people to have a place where they can go to just get the information, right? You're never going to see me say, don't worry about this drop down, guys. Don't worry. All this money flow coming out, all this, like this, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. I know it's mattered all the other times, but just this time it doesn't matter, right? I can't say that. The chart is my boss, right? So yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully we can get the fake out. Shout out to Jennifer. Most people are bearish right now. Interesting. I wouldn't really know. I don't pay much attention to the internet, to be quite honest with you. And it's kind of the flip case too, right? It's like, if everyone's super bearish, you got to think to yourself, well, hey, if everyone's super bearish, maybe it's going to go up, which is definitely the case, right? But, that's why money flow keeps me. It's like, I could be bearish here. We could get a retracement potentially all the way to 116K, right? If we got this push to 116K, I'd actually feel okay. But I still could not ignore this money flow coming out. Unless it's snapping back to the upside aggressively, I would still have to be very cautious there. So we'll see. Yo, shout out to Dave said, morals unsubbing. Shout out to Dave Digital. Hit that like button for Frankie peeps. Shout out to D-Lo. Let's get it, baby. Let's get it. But yeah, guys, that is what I'm looking at here. Shout out to Optimus said, Frankie, did you sell or are you selling at the bottom like me? Well, I mean, I guess the raw truth is I am far from the bottom, personally. That's about my entry. It's actually lower than that. It's like right here. So, yeah, it's no. I took profit up here. I hate to be repetitive because I've covered this so many times. Bull market target number 1, just to give you guys an idea. These are the plans that we had all the way back in the day. When we started breaking above 30K, guys, we started bringing up those bull market targets. I pre-recorded videos that I made before the bull run started, and I said, target number 1, sitting right here between 92 and 102K. That was my first place where I took profit on my Bitcoin. Took profit, right? Not selling my bag because I think the top is in. People will be like, you sold? Idiot. What a moron. Why would you sell? We're in a bull market. It's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know what to say, right? Like, it's just like some people are just, they're just going to be super emotional. But I took some profit here. We went up for the second target. We hit our first level, the bottom of the zone of target number 2, which was sitting at about $123,000. That is our current top. So, yeah, I mean, if we continue back up, right, like I said on the retracements, I will continue to take a little bit more profit because I didn't take as much as I would like up here. But then if we continue up, guess what I'm also going to do? If we break new all-time highs, I'm probably going to take a little profit here, probably going to take a little profit there, right? And I just have these targets to look at. Now, maybe if we came up to this level and things look super bullish, maybe I'm not taking as much profit, right? It's an if this, then that situation. So that's kind of what I like. These targets were set all the way down here. I patiently wait, right? When you're sitting on your bags for over 2 years, right? Why not take some profit? And it's like, but it went back up. It's like, I was still in the market. I still made money there, right? Take profit here. Oh, but it went back up. It's like, I still have some on my Bitcoin. But you just have to have those targets, right? I highly recommend having your preset targets. This is what I said back in the day when I first started my channel. It's like in the bull market, you want to have those targets preset. And you have to follow the rule, right? If you hit the target, you got to take profit. Now, you can adjust how much profit you take depending on how bearish or bullish the chart looks. I took very little profit here. I mean, I guess that's relative. But I took a small percentage of profit here. Why? We had plenty of time left in the cycle. We look for new all-time highs, right? But here it's a little different because cycle-wise, we're getting close to what you would think would be the end, which is why I'm just very concerned over here. So we'll see what happens. Either way, we go into a bear market, guys. So much money to be made on the way down. So if you want to learn how to trade, now is probably the time if you think the top is in. If not, well, you could still learn how to trade because you can make money on the way back up. But the bear markets don't scare us, guys. I started my channel literally right here, like at the start of the bear market. Still made a ton of money. But anyway, let's see. Death cross usually starts the bear market. I actually have some videos on the death crosses. Death crosses they're a little bit weird, right? Because if you actually look at the death crosses, man, I should probably redo a death cross video because it has been years since I filmed that video. But let me pull up the death cross real quick. The problem with the death crosses is sometimes when the death cross happens, it's a lagging indicator, right? So when the death cross happens, usually the move down has already happened, right? Because like price has to move down to get the death cross. So sometimes what you see is like a bigger retracement on the death cross. That's why you have to be careful, right? It doesn't mean it's not bearish long term, but I would just be careful with the death cross. Just because, yo, there's Golden. Let's go. Yo, shout out to Golden in the chat. We were just talking about you, Golden. BTC 99K. My bad. I sold the Bitcoin. Shout out to Golden. Somebody was just saying, man, we haven't seen Golden in a minute. He's probably just out dumping on us. Full-time selling Bitcoin. Shout out to Golden. Welcome in, bro. Your ears must have been ringing. We were just talking about you, bro. Let's see. I still remember it's, you know, Golden, are you selling on us? Let us know, Golden. Is the top in? Please let us know. Or was this dump just you? Golden has made some pretty wild predictions. He messaged me in Discord and was like, hey, watch this. I was like, Golden is who he says he is, guys. I'm not going to lie. Tyler says, you grow, I grow, Piano Matty B. Shout out to Tyler Turton. Shout out to Piano Matty B. Save us, Golden. Come on. Golden emojis in the chat right now, guys. Come on, Golden. Pump it back up. Drop something in Bitcoin. Please, for the love of God. All right, let's go back down to the lower time frames real quick. Come back over to the Bybit chart. Shout out to Dare. Says, Frankie, when would you look to ride that mega short down to the bottom of the bear after the bearish retrace 215K? Question mark. If we get a bearish retracement, if we get a retracement into 116K, I will be looking for shorts there, depending on what money flow looks like up there. I probably would have preferred a bounce from here, SFP it, and then send it down. I'll be honest. I'm a little bit upset. Not that I'm FOMO shorting. But I am a little bit upset because we have the short set up here in the premium Discord from 107.4. And we also have the short up here from 116K and the short from the top. And these two got stopped out in profit. And this one, I just wasn't on the charts to take the position. So in the Discord, I wish I was still holding my short from the tippy top. I was in from like $123,000 up here. But like even up here, guys, like I do just want to be clear about this. When I shorted up here, I'm not saying I'm shorting here bear market incoming, right? Because the chart looks totally different up here than it does down here, right? Like it, and I've mentioned this many a times where it's like it's very hard to say, all right, that's it, this is the top, right? When you're up here, it's much easier, right? Like even in 2021, when I was saying that the top was very likely in, it wasn't as we tapped into this level, right? It's kind of hard. You could say, well, hey, now we're printing weekly bearish divergences, etc. This looks bearish, but it's not until you get a big drop down, right? You get the chop, you get another drop, you get a big retracement. It's not until you get the first big drop and the first big retracement where you start looking at those higher time frames and you say to yourself, now this looks like the top is probably in, right? So it's a little hard. It's like very difficult to snipe the top. I mean, it's very possible to snipe the top, but it's very hard to snipe that top and say, that's it, this is the top of the bull market, right? Unless you have money flow very clearly coming out at the time, which is really hard to say, right? Because if you pull back into bar replay mode here, you can see, right, like money flow is kind of just flat here on the weekly. It's not trending out just yet. But then once price action kind of develops and you start getting the bigger push to the downside, like even stop it here. Well, now money flow is trending out. Now you're getting a big drop down. Timing of the cycle, etc. Now you have the weekly bearish divergences confirmed, right? So you could have seen local bear divs up here to take the short, but it's really not until you get the big push down and then price starts to consolidate where you start to say, okay, now what am I looking for here? Sure, bounces are fine, green dot on the weekly, but look at your money flow. You're looking for lower highs and lower lows, which of course was the case. So it's much easier to say that, once you get those big retracements on declining money flow, that the top is very likely in. It's very difficult to call it at the tippy top like that. Again, not difficult to call a top, but it's very difficult to say this top is definitely going to be the top of the bear market, right? So it's the same thing in the current price action. So when I took that short, just like I said, I don't just come up here and say, you're an idiot if you're not shorting, this is the top of the bull market. It's not easy to call that, right? But we did short the all-time high. But at that moment, I'm not necessarily saying this is guaranteed the top. It's not until you get back down in here and you start to get those retracements on declining money flow that you could say, well, hey, now this looks like the short. I mean, now this looks like this could be the short from the top. Unfortunately, I'm not still holding it. That's totally fine, though, right? Why? Well, there's always going to be another opportunity, whether it's on a retracement from the POC, a retracement from here, or a retracement from the value area low. So hopefully that helps you out. All right, let's see. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything here. I can't say that name. It's just symbols. But he said, some people were saying that Hyperliquid guy bought. He must know. I was in shock hearing from one of the trades. Worst way to trade, in my opinion, and I like how you read your own chart. Yeah, listen. Where I stand on that stuff is like, oh, did you see this? Whale shorted or whatever it is. It's interesting to me, right? And it's always going to be like, it's almost like when people say, when people are super bullish, does that make you bearish? At the end of the day, guys, you can't control anything in this market, right? You can't control the candles. You can't control price. And you definitely can't control other people's biases, right? But one thing you can control is your own plan and your own system. So for me, when everyone's super bullish, does that make me bearish? Well, it depends. Because if the chart looks super bearish and everybody is super bullish, if the chart looks bearish and everybody is super bullish, I'm just going to... That's kind of like double confirmation, right? The chart says down, everyone's bullish. It would make sense for the masses to be wrong, and the chart's pointing down anyway. So it's like double confirmation. But if the chart looks bearish, and then everyone else is also bearish, it doesn't make me think that the chart's not going to play out, right? It's just like, all right, chart's bearish, and people are bearish. I'm just always going to go with the chart anyway. Anytime I counter trade the masses or anytime I'm a contrarian, it's just based off the charts, right? And it just so happens that as a trader, when price goes down, we look to long. People are naturally going to be bearish on the drop to the downside, especially if they're buying up here. They're like, oh, my God, this is brutal. It's never going to end. They're already giving up hope, and they are super bearish. But I'm not bullish because they're bearish, right? I'm bullish because of the chart. And then if everyone's super bearish, I'm just like, oh, I mean, it doesn't really mean a lot to me. But it would be like, oh, it would make sense for the masses to be wrong. But if I was bullish here and the masses were bullish, but the charts were bullish too, I would just be bullish, right? So it's like, yeah, it's interesting to pay attention to that stuff. It's just not something I would trade based off of. And at the end of the day, if you trade based off that and you make money, don't let anyone tell you not to do that, right? I'm not going to shove my strategies or my techniques down people's throats. If what you're doing is actually working and you're actually making money, keep doing that, right? I'm not a huge fan of trading patterns, at least alone. I'll trade patterns with other confirmations. But if you're just looking at bull pennants, bear pennants, and you're actually making money, then don't worry about anything else, right? If you're actually making money, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? I always say, like, if you flip a coin and you long and short based off heads or tails and you're actually making money doing that, I would say at face value that's a terrible strategy. But if you're actually making money doing that, why would you stop, right? But let's see. Yo, shout out to Golden. Thank you for the super chat. Said, bro, I tried to call you earlier this week to tell you some inside info, but you didn't answer. So hit me up if you want. Shout out to Golden. I did not know you called me. Actually, I was talking to Tony about you, Golden. I was like, dang, we got to check in on Golden. We haven't heard from him in a while. But shout out to Golden. I'll check in with you, bro. Oh, God. I hope it's good news, Golden. I hope it's good news. But, guys, with all that being said, I think that's all we got for today's live stream. We'll see if we can get this little continued bounce. We got some medium time frame green dots potentially looking to print here. But, again, you know, bias still remains. Lackluster bounces, lower highs, and lower lows to come. Even if it's a big retracement. Biggest level of resistance, $108,324. Wake me up when we flip that level to support. Until then, I remain with my bearish bias. Does not mean that we can't bounce here, to be clear, right? Just because I have a bearish bias does not mean that you cannot bounce, right? Long-term bearish bias, right? Or medium-term, I should say. But we'll see. POC 96,633 is your biggest level to the downside locally. Value area high, 108,324. Key level of resistance to the upside. Once we lose that POC, we're looking towards the confluent level between 94 and call it $92,000. But guys, with all that being said, that's all the time I got for today's live stream. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys. And Golden with the 50 Frankie Candles memberships. Let's go. Come on, baby. Come on. Drop those golden emojis in the chat if you just got a membership. And shout out to Golden for, dude, you are most generous person on earth. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart, bro. And I know the Mafia does as well. If you just got a membership, use those custom emojis and drop a golden emoji in the chat. We call them golden waterfalls. We don't do showers over here, guys. But that's all the time I got for today's live stream. I'll check in with you guys tomorrow. Same place, same time, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow's Friday, by the way, so we got giveaways to do as well. So don't miss it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, guys. I love you all. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
Coach, what's next for me, Joe? I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the is it? They should have had them two bells ready. Space shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working, I'm up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Shout out to Creighton C. Said, yeah, get off the live, call Golden, and tell me and only me the inside info. I won't tell Darren. Shout out to Creighton C. Thank you for the super chat, bro. Guys, try to hold on. Hopefully we can get a little bounce from here. But I'll check in with you tomorrow. Same place, same time. Shout out to all the new members. And thank you, Golden, for gifting those membership. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy. On the road, here we go, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command, like, yeah, you about to see me on demand, like, you know, on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy. On the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out,